waiting to formally identify their children and waiting for answers that may never fully ease the pain. Outside homes and community spaces, grief is quiet but heavy as parents begin the difficult process of rebuilding lives shattered in a single morning that started like any other school day. Until their children are officially identified and released, many families remain suspended in a state of uncertainty, holding on through procedures that feel clinical against a backdrop of deep personal loss. Police say the investigation remains ongoing with forensic and technical analysis, including dashcam footage, forming part of the evidence. Mongi Ziko, Eyewitness News, Vanderbilt Park.
Former Independent Police Investigative Directorate Head Robert McBride is expected to take the hot seat at Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations of police corruption. McBride faces several accusations of improper conduct and colluding with the likes of private investigator Paul O'Sullivan to target certain senior police officials. Babalondense reports.
Among the allegations to be put to Robert McBride is how he and forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan waged a secret war against former Acting Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane in an attempt to discredit him. During his testimony last week, Phahlane spoke of an alleged campaign to halt his appointment as National Commissioner while he was acting in the position. He also accused McBride, O'Sullivan and other IPID investigators of implicating him through falsehoods and fabrications. KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, during his testimony last year, said he would ask Parliament through the intelligence structures to investigate McBride's tenure as head of the police watchdog. Evidence leaders are expected to grill McBride on the allegations over 2 days before EMPD Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi takes the stand on Thursday. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
In the courts now, a defense witness in the Senzo Mayiwa trial has accused police of assaulting him. Sfiso Kwabini Zungu has also pointed out the exact spot that one of the accused in this matter also claims he was assaulted. He was testifying in the Pretoria High Court yesterday, where he was cross-examined on a statement that he signed but has now distanced himself from. Zungu claims police assaulted him into signing that statement. 5 men are currently standing trial in connection with the murder of Mayiwa in Vosloorus in 2014. Khomotso Modise reports.
According to a key state witness, Sfiso Kwabini Zungu's room at the Basuto hostel was used to plan the murder of Senzo Mayiwa, and it was also where the accused reconvened after the crime. But Zungu has denied this, and he's also distanced himself from a statement that he signed which gave details about the day that Mayiwa was murdered. When shown aerial shot pictures of the Vosloorus municipal precinct, he pointed out exactly where he was allegedly assaulted by Ekurhuleni Metro Police officers. The place that Kwabini pointed out is almost the exact same spot that Muzi Sbiya, the first accused, also claims he was assaulted by police when he signed his confession statement in 2020. Sbiya pointed out the same place during the inspection in Loco, where the court was taken to Vosloorus in July last year. Zungu will continue with his testimony this morning. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The city of Ekurhuleni is under fire after reversing its decision to expropriate a privately owned property in Boksburg without compensation. In 2019, the Metro moved to expropriate a 34-hectare piece of land belonging to Business Venture Investments, which was demanding a 30 million rand payout. The dispute has played out in court for several years now, but the Ekurhuleni Council has now scrapped what was meant to be South Africa's first case of land expropriation without compensation. The municipality says it has abandoned the seizure after determining that the land is unsuitable for housing development. Alpha Ramushwana reports.
Business Venture Investments 900 acquired the 34-hectare land in 2005, but has never developed it or used it for commercial purposes. Despite the owners valuing the land at no less than 30 million rand, the city of Ekurhuleni moved to expropriate it without compensation, arguing that the property had not generated any economic activity. The municipality has now conceded that environmental assessments found the land to be on unsuitable soil, prompting it to abandon the expropriation. Freedom Front Plus leader Corne Mulder says the expropriation without compensation would have had devastating consequences.
So I can just imagine what the United States' reaction would be when one of their conditions for normal relations and the normal trade deal is that there cannot be expropriation without compensation.
It's been 7 years since the dispute began, and only now has the city decided to reverse the expropriation. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
And in Australia, the lower house of parliament has voted in favour of stricter gun control measures following the Bondi Beach attack last year. The reforms will include a national gun buyback program and firearms and hate speech reforms. In December, a father and son duo killed 15 people when they opened fire on people attending a Jewish festival at Bondi Beach. The two allegedly owned 6 firearms, while the son had been on the radar of intelligence agencies. Both bills will now move to the Senate and are expected to be passed later today. Gold is trading at $4,670.91 an ounce. The rand is at 16.49 to the dollar, 22.01 to the pound, 19.08 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64 13 cents a barrel.
And in traffic, we've got heavy traffic volumes reported along the M1 South. This is between the Buccleuch interchange and Marlborough Drive, an accident along this route. There's also queuing traffic on the N3 North between the Geldenhuys interchange and the Gilulis interchange, an accident between these 2 points. Please be on the lookout.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Gauteng education officials are expected to share details around the identification process of 12 learners killed in a scholar transport crash.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Happy, what day is it? Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show on this 20th day of January. Thank you for joining us here on 702 this morning. I hope your day will go well today. 011-883-0702. That's the number to dial on the 702 open line this hour. The WhatsApp line is 072-7021-702. My goodness, how tragic is this accident in Vanderbijl Park that's claimed 13 lives of children who were on their way to school in a scholar transport. My heart is so heavy from that. I don't know how I could survive this as a parent. I really don't. I cannot even begin to imagine the pain of losing your child like this at such a promising age, at such an innocent age. My heart really goes out to the families of these kids. The police, we're told, are still investigating what caused the accident. But this is so tragic. And I couldn't help but think this morning, how have people survived things like this? Have you ever had to survive something tragic? And maybe it wasn't necessarily like this accident where children die, where it's your own child at this age who dies. Maybe you've suffered something that you thought you wouldn't survive. And maybe you experienced something and it felt like it's the end of the world for you. What keeps you going when you are stuck in a dark hole like that? What keeps you going when you've suffered something so tragic, where you felt this must be the end of the world? What kept you going? What gave you hope? What gave you the strength in that continuous moments of weakness and grief? Because surely something like this kills something in you. And I really, really struggle to even imagine how any human begins to survive something like that. How did you get yourself out of your tragedy? 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Please, let's keep the family of the victims in our prayers and our thoughts. I heard in EWN this morning that town planning has been flagged as a major concern regarding the floods in Mpumalanga and Limpopo. I mean, there are several people who have lost their lives in both the provinces, and many have been left homeless. And we are experiencing more and more extreme weather events. I mean, scientists are always warning that the rebuilding of infrastructure needs to be resilient to such climate risks. So future constructions must have extreme weather events in mind. These approvals of new developments should no longer be based on what could be worst floods in 100 years, but in fact in about 20 years, in 10 years' time. So planning systems need to be strengthened. What do you think government needs to do urgently? Because we're not only talking about poor disaster management strategies, we're also talking about poor infrastructure maintenance. We're talking about poor infrastructure upgrade plans, which have to be addressed in the rebuilding process. And you've got to ask whether government has prioritized proper drainage infrastructure. Have existing drainage networks been maintained, or have they been neglected for so long, like many of our infrastructure? I mean, how many times have we seen visuals of how roads and bridges have collapsed, homes that are submerged? And that speaks to the quality and integrity of that infrastructure. When I hosted town planners across the desk some time ago, one of them said that we have world-class standards and design methods, but the issue is that construction and maintenance then affect the design negatively. So what do you think we need to do? Because we need to prepare. We're seeing more and more extreme weather events, and the results are really quite devastating. Let me know your thoughts. Give me a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. At 10 o'clock, we're going to be in conversation with Helen Zille, the DA's federal chair. We're discussing the party's road to the 2026 local government elections. And then at 11 o'clock, we're going to do a World of Work feature. And today we're going to be discussing dry promotions and what they are. And when we talk about dry promotions, we're talking about that promotion that comes with a new title, but more work, higher expectations, but there's no increase in salary. This is what's commonly referred to as a dry promotion. And honestly, they're becoming more and more common in these tough economic times. And as organizations restructure, they freeze hiring, or they try to do more with fewer people. That's when we see these dry promotions. And I think we need to be aware of that, because while they can make sense from a business point of view, they raise serious questions about fairness, about labor rights, morale, and long-term career growth. I mean, some employers may even frame these dry promotions as opportunities to grow, as exposure or future advancement. But in some cases, they're temporary arrangements with the promise of later remuneration. And in others, they just become permanent. And that leaves you as an employee performing senior level work while being paid at a lower grade. So if you've been a victim of a dry promotion, if you've ever been given a higher title or expanded responsibilities without corresponding increase in pay or benefits, I want to hear from you at 11 o'clock when we do our World of Work feature. At 11:30, we're going to do our health and wellness feature. We're going to talk about wellness trends for 2026. Which ones actually improve our health? Because there are many of them out there, from supplements and superfoods to fitness apps, wearable technology, mental health tools. They're everywhere. But staying well isn't about luxury retreats or expensive product. It's actually about sustainable habits. It's about mental resilience and practical choices. So we'll talk about this on our health and wellness feature at 11:30. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
16 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm taking your calls on 011-883-0702. I'm asking you how do you survive something so tragic? Something that a lot of parents are experiencing as we speak right now, because they've just lost their kids in an accident. And I'm not saying that when you lose your child when they're older, it's much easier. I mean, nobody ever wants to lose a child. Whether that child is 50, whether that child is 30. Oh my goodness, but when you have just sent your child out to school with a promising future at such an innocent age, and you're sending them out to go and study and be better so that they can carve their own journey, and you get a call that something tragic has happened like that. That is quite tragic. How do you survive something like that? And I'm asking this, and I know this can be triggering for some people, but I know that for those that have survived things that are so tragic, that can give hope to somebody else who's listening to you, who is currently, as we speak, is struggling with something tragic in their life. How have you survived it? What has given you hope? How did you rebuild after surviving something so tragic? Let's start with your voice notes.
Good morning, Clement. I have personally experienced the sudden loss of a child of someone I know, someone who's very close to me. Not a family member, but we live in the same neighborhood. And it was just a regular Saturday, and obviously, we have these plants, like we have these mini gardens in the yard. And the child was playing in the yard, and then all of a sudden, the kid, around 11 years old, just went into the garden and started eating this mysterious plant. And then he started vomiting and stuff like that. Went to the hospital, just died, just like that. All in a matter of a minute or so. So yeah, it's quite sad. It's quite sad.
I can only imagine, man. I can only imagine. On the WhatsApp line, Anonymous says, Clement, I grew up in a family that lost a child. That was my brother. I asked my father many years later, and his response was, we had the privilege of having him as part of our family, and we still had 2 girls to raise. It destroyed our family, and 45 years later, it still affects us as a family. Condolences to the families who have lost those children. Anonymous, thank you so much for that call, and I'm sorry to hear about your brother. Yvonne, you're calling us from Roodepoort. Good morning.
Hi, Clement. I don't have much to offer you because we've suffered the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't have much to offer the parents because I know from my own personal experience that there is nothing that can remedy this. It's been 40 years, and as you can hear, we cannot still talk about it without feeling it. So I can't even say that time can take it away because it hasn't, and it's been 40 years. But I do have a solution that maybe, I know you've got great influence. I know you travel a lot. I think it's time for South Africa to look at a different system for our children. It is the yellow bus across the country. If we can speak to the private sector and ask them for help that every school has a yellow bus. We've got systems, we've got this placement system that is moving our children further and further away from home, which forces the parents to take on transport that they haven't even got the power to check that it's okay. When you ask a taxi driver about how the mechanical situation of his vehicle, he will say, if you don't like my car, go look somewhere else. So the parents are forced to just keep quiet and fear if their children are going to ever make it to school.
And the options are limited for the parents. Yvonne, absolutely. And I mean, we've had so many conversations about this before. Even the education minister has promised to really look into this and see what could be some viable options. Joseph, you're calling us from Woodmead. You want to talk about the issue of town planning? You're a development planner.
Yes, how are you?
I'm all right, man. What do you think could be solutions and how do we get ready?
No, it's just bylaw enforcement. All what they're doing is the town planning in any development make recommendation in terms of flood lines, and it's known. And the engineers give the drawings. All what they do is the authorities turn the other way around and leave these people to put up structures where they're supposed to put. If you see that place called Mbaula, where the president was the first day in Limpopo, it's literally 20 meters from the river bank. Then what do you expect? So besides that, there is 1 in 50, 1 in 100 flood line. It's known. They all leave these people to do whatever they want. Starting from I think the Durban floods, I think about 7-8 years ago, the same issue. No bylaw enforcement. And when it rains, suddenly government will shift the rhetoric to climate change. It's not necessarily everything which is climate change. It's about the restricted places based on the professional input by planners and engineers and civil engineers. If it's adhered to, not this scale, it won't happen in the same scale. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but it's not going to happen in the same scale because, in the first place, next to the river bank there in Baula, it would have been maybe either grazing fields or some agricultural land. If you look at, I think there was a shopping mall in Guyana where I know that shopping mall personally, where there was, I think it's McDonald's submerging the water. I visited that place one day and I told somebody, I said, the day this stream gets full, this place will be underwater. And indeed it happened. Why such approval took place, God knows. So if we can just enforce that, and nothing will happen. If you fly over some of these areas, we can see because people get attracted to resettle close to the river banks because of access to water, good agriculture, productive land, and those things are things that which you force people to adhere to and say this is a place where you cannot do. If you do it, there's a way to sanction it. Either you demolish that structural estate and also impose punishment. I think you recall last year there was something similar in Transkei, where people were swept and scholars were swept. All of them, if you look at it, people were just resettled very close to the flood line. And the president announced that no, people must not settle.
Yeah, but sometimes people just don't have options because they want to move closer to economic opportunities. But I hear you, Joseph. Thank you so much for calling us. Dike Lady, you are calling us from Kagiso. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, Dike Lady. How are you doing?
I'm surviving given the circumstances. You know, as you were talking earlier about
Sorry,
the
Dike Lady, is it possible to just take down the radio or TV in the background there? It's just interfering with, it's a bit louder than,
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
No worries. You can take that down and then we can continue our conversation. Yeah, it's quiet now. Go ahead.
Okay. You know, as you were talking about surviving a tragedy and how do you actually keep up with the hope or how do you move on from it?
Yes.
you got me thinking and asking myself, actually, what is it that got me to survive the tragedy that I went through? I lost my eyesight, and I don't know why. It just like I woke up one day and then I couldn't see.
Oh my goodness!
And then my son was going to school, was just starting school, and then imagine all of that happening like a blink of an eye, And then even now he's in grade 9, but I'm still going on, and I don't even know how, or maybe being with him all the time. Yeah, it's actually I don't know.
Oh my goodness! So, Dikeledi, you just woke up one day and then you completely lost your sight. There was no accident or anything like that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Sure.
No accident, no tragic. I don't even know how to put it. Yeah.
And that means you've had to learn how to live differently, because of course things are gonna have to change. It's you can't just cook or just easily like that. There are things you have to get used to in order to have a structure.
Exactly. And learning to be dependent on people. The one thing that actually would normally put me down was the fact that I had people who depended on me in almost everything. But now I'm the one who has to be dependent. It was tough, but I'm still making it. I'm still
happy
surviving
to hear
it.
that, Dike Lady. I can hear in your voice how you've got so much positivity. Thank you for calling, and thank you for sharing your story with us. Another one says, Clement on the WhatsApp line. Hi, Clement. My heart really goes to the families. I lost my brother tragically, and what can I say? What I can say is that death leaves a lot of trauma, not just pain. Imagine having to see your child laying there in the midst of that horrific accident. The picture won't be erased, so the pain doesn't go away, but you learn how to carry it as the days go by. It does get better. And that's what matters, the fact that it does get better, right? Another one says, Clement, in 2011, my sister's ex-boyfriend fetched my nephew from school. The school didn't do any due diligence, just handed over the child. He tortured the child for about 2 days. He tortured the child for about 2 days and then killed him. He then handed himself over and was boasting how he killed our dog. The school never took responsibility, and we're now told, and so far back, we have no legal recourse. I just shut down for a good year. I have no recollection of those months. We couldn't even bear therapy because it just made us feel worse. Both my mother and sister suffer from bipolar. I can't even answer you. We just woke up each day and we're still here. It never goes away. You just learn to live with it. And I think that's the recurring theme, is you learn to live with it. It's incredibly tragic, but for some reason, as the days go by, as time goes, you learn to live with it, but it's not something that you completely forget. Dorozo in KwaZulu-Natal says, Clement, my brother was shot and killed in July last year. The trauma is beyond anything you can imagine until you're actually in the situation. It might be a cliche, but you can only make it one day at a time, and you can only grow around and learn to manage the grief, because it really never gets better. Dorozo in KZN, thanks for calling. And I'm sorry about that trauma that you've had to experience with your family. It's 9:30. Bali has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. A very good morning. We begin with news just in. The Gauteng Health Department has revised the death toll following a fatal Scholar Transport accident in Vanderbijl Park yesterday. The department says verified information confirms that 12 children lost their lives in the crash and not 14 as widely reported. Yesterday, a minibus taxi carrying learners to school collided with a truck in Vanderbijl Park. Former Independent Police Investigative Directorate head Robert McBride is expected to take to the hot seat at Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations of police corruption. McBride faces several accusations of improper conduct, as well as colluding with the likes of private investigator Paul O'Sullivan to target certain senior police officials. And firefighters in the Cape Winelands District Municipality are still struggling to extinguish a fire near Franschhoek this morning. The blaze, which has been burning for 12 days now, has destroyed 17,000 hectares of vegetation. Those are the headlines, this EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traffic travelling around the east of Joburg, particularly on the N3 North, is backed up. This is due to an accident near Van Buren Road, delays from the Geldenes interchange, and then again as you approach the Kiluli's turn off. If you are travelling along the M1 South, do expect delays between the Bakulu interchange and Marlborough Drive due to another accident scene. And I'm also seeing delays within the Sandton CBD. This is along Fredman Drive towards West Street, as well as on Sandton Drive towards Grayston turn off. So please be on the lookout there and be patient along the roads. If you are travelling in the south of Joburg, particularly on the N12 East, that accident we spoke about earlier in the Eldorado Park area has been moved to the side of the road, but please do expect some delays approaching Klipsbridge Valley Road. And in the city of Tshwane, there's some issues being reported along the R80 East Mabopane Highway towards Eskiam Pahlele Drive. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
We want to call the community, we want to call the parents that they must not allow their children to go into those cars that are not roadworthy. They must make sure that they must go out. And I think the question will be, how will the parents know that this car is not roadworthy? We want parents, we want community to call upon the authorities.
Mataganya is the General Secretary of the National Association of School Governing Bodies, reflecting, of course, tragic stories involving deaths.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
For the best game viewing, you go to Mpumalanga. For the best whale watching, you go to Hermanus. And for the best in investments, go to Nedbank. Earn up to 7.6% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account and access your funds within 24 hours. For better returns, go with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Dreaming of a tropical escape? World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar, and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za. Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
It's 25 minutes before 10 o'clock. It's the 702 open line, and we're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Thank you so much for sharing what I can imagine is something painful to remember, but some of the tragic things that you have gone through and telling us how you've managed to at least, and I don't even know if survive is even the word for it, because from what many of you have said, it's not something you really survive. You live with it, it gets better, but you learn to live with it. I appreciate that because there are people who are very much experiencing tragic things right now as they're listening to us, and maybe something is still fresh to them. And hearing that there's someone who's experienced something similar, and they've gotten to a point where they've learned somehow to live with that as the days goes, can give them a bit of hope. So I really, really appreciate that. I've also been asking you about town planning and what we need to do differently because we're experiencing more and more extreme weather events. I heard in EWN this morning that town planning has been flagged as a major concern regarding the floods in Mpumalanga and Limpopo. And of course it is. We've spoken about this many times. Government is aware of what needs to be done, but is it being done? When we are planning for new developments, even approval of new developments, that should no longer be based on what could be the worst floods in 100 years. We're literally talking about what could be the worst floods in a couple of months, in a couple of years. That's how bad things are. Remember in KZN, how many people did we lose a couple of years ago? Was it 3 years ago? We lost over 430 people. Over R1 billion in damage in just infrastructure. 6,000 people were left homeless, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, the numbers are staggering. So we're experiencing more and more extreme events, and scientists have always been warning us that rebuilding infrastructure needs to be resilient to such climate risks. So I've been asking you what you think we need to do. What does government need to prioritize? Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Clement. I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. I think I'm still within time to wish you a Happy New Year. But just to comment on the flood situation that happened in Limpopo and in Mpumalanga, when we speak about town planning, do we consider the rural areas, the landscape of the rural areas? Is rural area included in that scope of town planning? And I ask this question because more and more rural areas, especially within the Limpopo province, they have been turned into townships, right? They are building walls across their yards. They are building these huge houses, but there is no drainage system. So I think for me, that is the problem. There's no drainage system in the rural areas. And I feel like when we speak about town planning, we often exclude the rural planning.
No, you're right. We need, and I'm broadening it. I'm not just talking about in towns, in townships, but yes, in rural areas as well. And I think that's what you find is, we need an improved disaster management strategy. We need to prioritize proper drainage infrastructure. We need to even refurbish these bridges. I mean, have you seen how sometimes when we experience these floods, like the kind of damage on the bridges themselves, and that tells you about the structural integrity of those bridges. So we may experience more extreme weather events to come. And we need resilient infrastructure. We need infrastructure that will be resilient to such climate risks. So when we talk about future constructions, we must have these extreme weather events in mind. And I don't know if we're there. I don't know if that's what we're doing. And hence I'm asking, and some of you are town planners, you are experts in this kind of even drainage infrastructure, and you are able to tell us what needs to be of priority now. On the WhatsApp line, Anonymous says, hi, Clement. To respond to the question you asked about tragedy, my husband was knocked down by a car in 2015. I even went to the scene. I took his shoes. I waited for pathology services to take him. So it is not easy. My baby daughter was 2 years old. She's 17 now. Always asked when we got to the grave. When will he come out of the huge sand on him? Now it is a tombstone. She does not ask that question anymore. Now she's trying to understand. She keeps on looking at her and his photos. Yeah. Anonymous, thank you for sharing that with us. What do you say to a child who's standing right in front of their father's grave and they ask, when will he come out of this huge sand on him? What do you even say to that? When you're a parent yourself who's grieving, when you have a child who is in pain and just doesn't understand what is at play, but you know how scarring this is going to be for them. But a lot of us are still here. Even after those tragic events, a lot of us are still here. And I think that's a testament to how we've been able to survive. And not survive in that the pain is gone, but we have learned to live with the trauma that we've experienced. Angela says, hi Clement, losing a child is very painful. You spend sleepless nights, and when you go to sleep, you pray sometimes never to wake up. And that's how Angela says he's experienced it. Let's go to more of your WhatsApps on 072 702 1702.
Hi Clement, this is Sean here from Bushbuckridge. As much as we can say global warming and all of those things, service delivery and town planning is the key issue here. There are more than 10 villages that I know of that have been tarred or that have been paved, but there is no drainage for when there's rain like this. There are communities whereby there was supposed to be pavement or tarred roads and proper planning, and those projects were never done, but the money is gone. You understand?
No, I got you. Another one says, good morning, Clement. This is now on the other conversation about the kids that died yesterday. Hi, Clement. I lost my father in 1999, helping a friend pulling his car, not knowing the truck he was pulling had no brakes, yet loaded. Going down the hill, it slammed into my father's and lost control and fell into that river. What is more painful is that my father was left there unattended and died while the causer of the accident helped themselves to the hospital, leaving my father who was dying. It's not easy when I meet these people and I feel, so much hatred against them, but it's okay now. That time has passed. So, yeah, time. Again, someone is mentioning the issue of time, and seemingly that's really at some point that's what begins to heal us in some way, doesn't it? What do you think we need to focus on to prevent us from experiencing these adverse effects from these extreme weather events that we experience? Stay on the WhatsApp line, says Clement. I don't know much about the field of town planning, but I would like to think that we have some of the best town planners in the country. One major issue has to do with maintenance of our infrastructure. We are failing to maintain drainage structures, in my view. Yes, and I hosted town planners before on the show, and that's exactly what they said. And remember that other development planner who called us earlier on, he said just also ensure that the bylaws are respected and adhered to. I mean, is that what's happening? And then when we talk about infrastructure, when I had the mayor of Johannesburg here, what did he say again? He said they spend about, what was it 4% of the budget on infrastructure, but it has to be, Treasury has advised that it must be about, 6-7%? Could be wrong, but what I know for sure is we are spending less on maintenance of our infrastructure. And Treasury has advised that more needs to be spent, because at the end of the day, we end up dealing with infrastructure that is completely dilapidated. So we need our government to prioritize proper drainage infrastructure. The existing drainage networks we have, they need to be maintained. They can't be neglected for so long, like many of our infrastructure. I mean, whenever we see visuals, whenever there are floods, roads that are submerged, bridges that are collapsed, homes that are also submerged, and that speaks to just the quality and integrity of that infrastructure that government has spent so much money on. So a lot of work needs to be done, and hopefully we've got better planning so that we don't deal with such incidents where whenever, and of course, in any case, whenever we experience this level of rain and we see floods, of course there's going to be some damage to our infrastructure. But my goodness, if we plan properly, if we maintain our infrastructure, if we heed the warnings from these experts, who are some of the best in the world, then we're putting ourselves in a position where we can at least mitigate against the adverse effects of these disasters, particularly on lives. What do you think government needs to prioritize? It's 12 minutes before 10.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja, 1 to 3 p.m.
What do you say to students who might come and complain and say, I feel like this teacher's out to get me? I think we've all had those experiences. We're like, why does this teacher not like me? But it actually has pretty much nothing to do with that. What do you say to students when they come to you with that complaint?
I think that the most important thing is that your office always has to be open for pupils to come in. And when a student does come in, and it does happen, because not everybody has the same day every day, and they complain about a teacher, we break it down and we listen to it.
Dr. Daniela Pitt, Dean of Matrics from Saheti.
702 Afternoons
with Relebohile Maboja.
Let's walk the talk.
This year is the year. I'll be catching flights and not feelings. Serving looks Monday to Sunday. 5 a.m. club. Small things. I'll be awake before a Hadida can even say, this year things are gonna change.
Okay, so what would you like to order then?
Just hit me with the usual. Kota chicken, single chips, and a roll.
Oh, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Get the Nando's flame grilled quarter chicken, single chips, and roll for only 82 Rand. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
It's the new year, and Peter is still looking for a university.
Why is this so hard?
And now that he's running out of time, he's not looking at the right things.
Wait, I'm not?
You see, where most universities sell you on what you'll do at university, Emirates focuses on what you'll be able to do when you leave university.
Well, that changes everything.
With a high-performance tertiary education from Emirates, you'll be able to make a mark in the working world from day one.
And I can still register?
Yes. Register today at emirates.ac.za. Emirates is an educational brand of the Independent Institute of Education.
With OutSurance, I'm saving a whole 729 Rand.
Another satisfied OutSurance client saving more money every month. 32-year-old Perushka saves 729 Rand a month on her 2020 Haval H2. And after 3 claim-free years, she gets an out bonus.
Yes, I'm ready for that out bonus.
How much money could OutSurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
The many mayors that Nisen has had and the many parties that have held the mayorship. The DA was in control from 2000 until 2004. If I look at your own party, the African National Congress, Mr. Mayor, you've held the mayoral seat since August 2022. I mean, you've had a good period of time to actually get things fixed up.
Yes, I do acknowledge, but in terms of planning, a council and organization at that stage, we did not plan properly.
So you would take responsibility for that?
We do acknowledge some mistakes.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
10 minutes before 10 o'clock. This is the 702 open line. Let's continue with your WhatsApps and calls.
Hi, Clement. Concerning drainage system, some of the things are so fault. Remember, there was a video of a Durban municipal worker was busy shipping rubble under the drainage system. I'm from Cosmos City, and where I stay, I stayed next to someone who slaughter hard-boiled the chickens. They slaughter them at the drainage. and throw whatever inside there. When we complain, hey, you never know. Just because they're not from, hey, let me not go there. But yeah, even ourselves, we have to blame with training system. Yeah, bye.
Sure, yeah, true. And there's some responsibility we have to take as well because we also contribute to the blockages of the system. And isn't that the thing also about when you think about public infrastructure? Sometimes we think we are not responsible for the safekeeping or the protection of that infrastructure. So it's easy for us to also complain about, this infrastructure is not being maintained or pipes are always blocked, but what responsibility are we taking as citizens? Huh? We always complain about, when we don't have water, but how much water do we waste ourselves? So we need to take some responsibility at some level. Tuli, you are calling us from Boxback. You want to share a story about your child. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you, Tuli?
I'm okay. Clement, I'm just a little bit disturbed with the incident for Val and the kids.
Yesterday.
I had a very bad experience. I had a daughter who was still going to grade R at that time, and she was at the age of 5 traveling with the scholar transport. Unfortunately, the two drivers, when they leave the town, they were racing with each other as to who will arrive first.
Oh my goodness!
And then the one where my daughter was, he lost control and lose the car, and then the car just turned. But what made things worse? My daughter was still young at that time. The grade 12 learner who was sitting on top of her, she passed on the hair. When the incident happened, she went out of the window, and then the pieces of the car covered her. They get all the kids. They get the one who was supposed to go to the hospital. The one who passed on, they were taken to mortuary, and my daughter remained there. And then when they were start to clean the road and taking the pieces of the car, there she was lying down. And unfortunately, on the radio, I was listening on the radio station at the time. I won't mention it. It highlighted that the youngest one, who was my daughter, she also passed on because when they counted the kids, they miscalculated. They couldn't see her. And then they were like, if she's not in the hospital, it means she went to mortuary. But I can tell you, Clement, now the communication and the pictures, because on the Val one, what disturbs me was it's on the TikTok and the communication and the pictures going around. Can we still go back to Ubuntu as people? This thing is so traumatizing. I don't want to lie. It's so traumatizing. Whereas when you see it on the phone, when you are a relative, unfortunately now I hear that they are always communicating the wrong pictures of the kids. Imagine. So can we still have that Ubuntu thing?
Yeah.
But with God, Clement, I just want to say, can you imagine my daughter is still alive to this day?
How old is she now, Tuli?
She's 27.
Does she remember that accident?
Yes, but not really. The only thing that kept on reminding her when she grows up until at the age of 12. Remember when the bones are growing up, there were still pieces. She was like, I'm feeling something here. When she checks, maybe it's a piece of the bottle. It's still coming out of her body.
Sure.
And then she was cut. Some of the parts of the body was cut. They had to patch somewhere, and then they had to do this. But yeah, she has scars. But what I'm proud of her, she embraced her body. She embraced her scars. She's not afraid of wearing anything. She's not afraid to show. There's a big scar on the shoulder. If you want to wear the off-shoulder dress, she just goes for it.
I love that. Yeah, Tuli. Thank you so much for sharing that story with us. Yeah. What happened yesterday has really broken a lot of our hearts. And as Tuli says, can we just be cautious of how we share these things? Like, we don't need to continue to share the videos that were taken of these kids and how damaged they were laying there dead from this accident. And I understand how triggering yesterday must have been to some of you. I understand how triggering this conversation must have been to some of you. But thank you for calling us to also share how you've managed to live with some of the tragedies that you still live with today, that you've experienced. And as Tsepo Tsula always says, hulukile. And with time, as many of the listeners have said, it does get better.
There's a new way to experience all your favorites. Pulse Africa, the 24/7 fast channel, now live on primemediaplus.com and the Prime Media Plus app, bringing you the best of Prime Media around the clock. Watch the biggest moments from 7:02. It's non-stop entertainment and authentic African storytelling, all from Africa's leading media network. Pulse Africa, only on the primemediaplus.com and Prime Media Plus app.
Are you one of our loyal listeners? Did you tune in over the holidays while we were off recharging? How was it? We'd love to hear from you. Simply send us your feedback to contact@702.co.za, or better still, you can do it in person. Come visit us this Friday, the 23rd of January. We'll be hosting another 702 group visiting us around lunchtime. We'll take you on a tour of our lovely building and show you our studios. To book your seat, simply send us an email on contact@702.co.za.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today SMS legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Herschel Gibbs here, with more than just a crypto ad. Crypto payments are now live on 10Bet. And there's more. Download the app, deposit, and get an extra 5% in cash. The future of betting, faster, safer, and smoother. Play now at 10bet.co.za. 10Bet is a licensed betting operator and supports responsible gambling. No persons under the age of 18 shall be permitted to bet. Betting can be addictive. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Gauteng Health Department has revised the death toll following a fatal scholar transport accident in Vanderbijl Park yesterday. The department says it has verified information which confirms that 12 children lost their lives in the crash and not 14 as widely reported. Yesterday, a minibus taxi carrying learners to school collided with a truck in Vanderbijl Park. Police investigations into the cause of the crash continue, with both drivers still under scrutiny and no arrests made at this stage. Health MEC Noantung Komorale-Huko says as of this morning, Sebokeng Hospital has 3 learners admitted in the intensive care unit. She says a 4th learner was airlifted to a private hospital in Alberton last night.
While moments of crisis can often lead to speculation, the spread of unconfirmed figures and misinformation is causing unnecessary harm. Such inoccurrences fuel confusion at a sensitive time and divert attention from the critical work of supporting affected families and provide medical care to survivors.
Former Independent Police Investigative Directorate Head Robert McBride is expected to take the hot seat at Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is investigating allegations of police corruption. McBride faces several accusations of improper conduct and colluding with the likes of private investigator Paul O'Sullivan to target certain senior police officials. Babalondenze has more.
Among the allegations to be put to Robert McBride is how he and forensic investigator Paul O'Sullivan waged a secret war against former Acting Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane in an attempt to discredit him. During his testimony last week, Phahlane spoke of an alleged campaign to halt his appointment as National Commissioner while he was acting in the position. He also accused McBride, O'Sullivan and other IPID investigators of implicating him through falsehoods and fabrications. KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, during his testimony last year, said he would ask Parliament through the intelligence structures to investigate McBride's tenure as head of the police watchdog. Evidence leaders are expected to grill McBride on the allegations over 2 days before EMPD Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi takes the stand on Thursday. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News.
To this now, emergency response teams have been hailed for their operations during weather-related incidents in parts of the country. Limpopo, Mpumalanga, KZN, the Eastern Cape and the Northwest have been rocked by damaging weather conditions, which have in some cases left families destitute. President Cyril Ramaphosa says the teams have done a commendable job responding to affected communities. He was speaking on the sidelines of an oversight visit to flood-stricken Mpumalanga yesterday.
Our rescue and quick response agencies have been really up to the task. They have responded extremely well. The South African National Defence Force, as well as the emergency services here in the province, here at local government level.
In the Western Cape, firefighters in the Cape Winelands District Municipality are still struggling to extinguish a blaze near Franschhoek this morning. The fire, which has been burning for 12 days now, has destroyed 17,000 hectares of vegetation. Cape Winelands District Municipality spokesperson Joanne Otto says strong winds yesterday drove the fire line through steep, uneven terrain as well as dense vegetation.
Fire crews and vehicles from Cape Winelands, Stellenbosch, Worcester and Paarl fire stations are on scene, supported by Cape Nature's working on fire ground teams.
While in Australia, the lower house of parliament has voted in favour of stricter gun control measures following the Bondi Beach attack last year, the reforms will include a national gun buyback program and firearms and hate speech reforms. In December, a father and son duo killed 15 people when they opened fire on those attending a Jewish festival at Bondi Beach. The two allegedly owned 6 firearms, while the son had been on the radar of intelligence agencies. Both bills will now move to the Senate and are expected to be passed later today. Gold is trading at $4,671.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.34 to the dollar, 22.02 to the pound, 19.07 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.13 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got an accident on the N3 North in the Bedford View area. It's right near Van Buren Road. Delays coming out of the Geldenhuys interchange. There's also queuing traffic along the N12 as well as the R24 West between the Edenville Road exit and the Kilulis interchange. While travelling on the N3 South, roadworks are taking place right near Marlborough Drive. They're causing delays coming out of the Baklu interchange.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour, the Gauteng Health Department has revised the death toll following a fatal scholar transport accident in Vanderbijl Park yesterday.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for staying with us here on 702. And thank you for your contribution on the 702 open line. I can only imagine how difficult it must have been for some of you. And not only today, in fact, just yesterday, when you see something so tragic happen to children like that, that can be a trigger for you. In fact, if you have experienced any kind of tragedy, when you see another tragedy, that can trigger you. And I always appreciate you being able to give us a call to share how you have dealt with something like that, how you've survived it, and in the process, helping other people that may have something fresh that they're dealing with. Know that it's possible to, at some point, learn to live with the reality of that tragedy. So I always appreciate your contribution on the 702 open line. Remember, at 11 o'clock, we're going to do our World of Work feature. Today, we're discussing dry promotions. What are they? Well, you know, when you've been given a new title, got expanded work responsibilities, there's high expectations, but there's no salary increase. How do you deal with something like that? Because sometimes they tell you it's for growth, it's for exposure, it's for future advancement. But some of it can really go against even your labor rights, against fairness. So we'll talk about that with an expert at 11 o'clock. And then we wrap up the show at 11:30 with our health and wellness feature. And today we're going to be looking at wellness trends for 2026.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
But right now we start our conversation with Helen Zille, who is the DA's federal chair. We're going to be discussing the party's road to the 2026 local government elections. And I always want to create a platform for you to engage with these leaders, especially ahead of crucial elections like what we have this year. So please take up the opportunity if you have got some questions for Helen, if you've got some inputs, maybe you've got some suggestions around what she needs to be focusing on. Should she somehow win and become the new mayor of Johannesburg and the DA gets the necessary votes for that? The number to dial if you want to join the conversation is 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-7021-702. Helen, welcome to the show. It's good to have you in the studio in Johannesburg. Actually, I've never had you in a studio in Joburg. I've had you in Cape Town. So welcome.
Well, I'm now a Joburger. I'm here. And it's lovely to be with you. And Happy New Year to all the listeners and Happy New Year to you.
How often do you travel between the two places? Are you mostly based here in Johannesburg?
Yes, I'm based here in Johannesburg. I am based here in Johannesburg. Johannesburg is now home.
Yeah.
My husband didn't want to move to Joburg. He's very integrated in his church.
Is he waiting for you to fix it first?
He's very integrated in his church life and his social life, in all the things that he does. And so he wanted to stay there. So I will pop down once a month to see him.
Yeah.
And then obviously to see my grandchildren as well.
Yeah.
But I am based here in Joburg.
Okay. I want to say from the onset that, of course, we had requested to have a conversation with you about a week or so ago. And as discussed, you've indicated that you don't really want to get into the John Steenhuisen matter because I imagine the FLC is still investigating. When are we expecting them to finish that investigation? Because the leadership conference is coming up in April.
Yes, the federal executive has said that this investigation must take absolute priority. And that means that all other matters that the FLC may be investigating have to sit on the back burner while this investigation is conducted and concluded.
And is it only focusing though on John, or because Dion is now out?
Well, yes, Dion has now resigned, which takes him out of the ambit of the DA's Federal Legal Commission, which is unfortunate, but nevertheless, the process continues into allegations relating to John.
Okay. I want to talk about that conference, Helen, and whether you think this kind of tit for tat somehow sort of affects the organization, especially, let's start with maybe the elections. Tony Leon wrote an opinion piece this week and was suggesting that this battle within the party is a distraction in what should be a watershed election year for the party. Do you agree with this, that this tit for tat could have an impact on the organization?
Well, internal conflict is always destabilizing. It always distracts us from our main goal. But I think that we can bring this to a close and we can move on from there. Unfortunately, in any political party, things are often very smooth and run well, but now and again you're going to get a conflict. And because politicians are so in the limelight, in the public eye, the subject of media speculation and media reporting, these conflicts can't go under the radar as they do in most other organizations. So I'm sure, for example, in Prime Media or anywhere else, there are also conflicts. But when you're a politician, everything is right out there. And because we're human, we deal with them. In the DA, we have institutions that deal with them. We have something called the Federal Legal Commission. We have something called a Federal Executive. And my role is to make sure they work properly. And if they don't work properly, to make sure that what is wrong is fixed. And that is what I am doing.
How would you describe the party's internal stability and leadership right now?
Well, in the DA, we have got a very solid machine. So we have got all the departments, and I can list them all. I mean, there's obviously the by-elections department, there's the elections, there's the communications, there's the marketing, there's the fundraising, there's the policy, all of these. I probably haven't mentioned a whole lot, but there are all of these. They're very well structured and they are functioning extremely well. They've got good leadership and the machine carries on. So right around the country, in every single province, in every single region, the machine is buzzing. It is well in advance of the preparations for the election. The selection panels are already sitting in some parts of the country. to select our candidates. The machine goes on. We call it the blue machine. It is oiled, it is geared, and it is functional. It can weather many, many storms, as it has in the past. So the machine never gets involved in this, and that is why the party can continue and flourish despite the occasional upheaval.
Do even battles like what we've seen not divide the leadership of the organization?
No, we try. Well, anybody who's a professional staff member in the DA may not, as a condition of their employment, may not get involved in these battles. So it's a condition of their employment that they focus on the job that they've got and that they never get involved in internal politics. So in most of the provinces, for example, and elsewhere in the party, people are getting on with their jobs.
Yeah. I want to talk about the GNU, and we'll talk about the city of Johannesburg, and I will dedicate a lot of time on just making sure the listeners engage with you. With the GNU, what is the status right now? Is there, would you say, growing discomfort with the organization's position in the GNU? I don't know if you saw what Khaleb Kachalia wrote the other day, and he was suggesting that there's growing unease within the party about its participation within the GNU. And of course, Dion was trying to suggest that the DA is willing to do anything to stay in the government of national unity.
Look, to be honest, you must just look at the things we've done to see if that is true. We took a very strong stand on the BBBEE legislation. And if we were going to be towing the ANC's line, we wouldn't have done that. We have taken a very strong internal position on, for example, international relations issues with which we've disagreed with the ANC. You'll remember the big fight that we had over value-added tax. We've had many, many fights, and apart from that, we are in court on a whole range of issues, from the NHI to expropriation without compensation against the ANC. So if we were trying to suck up to the ANC to stay in government, we wouldn't be doing any of those things. So I really do believe that we are in the government, but as long as the ANC does not act as if we're a coalition and acts as if they are an independent party governing alone, we will continue to be an opposition within the government of national unity.
What are some of the things you think you've successfully been able to influence within the GNU?
Look, I'm not a spokesperson for the GNU, and I can't speak for the GNU. But in every single portfolio, there have been extraordinary strides. And I'm saying this from the outside because I'm not a spokesperson and I'm not inside the GNU. In fact, I'm in the party, not the state. And we respect the distinction between the party and the state. But like every other South African, I see the huge progress in home affairs. This is progress that the country hasn't been able to make for 30 years. And the digitization of a lot of the processes, the tightening up of borders, the use of drones to prevent illegal crossings of the borders, and a range of other things, the eradication of corruption, the cases against corrupt officials, all of those have happened in the year and a bit that we've been in the GNU. And they've made a big difference. Lots of people will tell you, and that is why with the e-visa system, for example, we can have a record tourism year. And of course, you were also in Cape Town. You would have seen how many international visitors there were in Cape Town. And that's all made easier by a smoother functioning of Home Affairs and the e-visa system. So a revolution actually in Home Affairs. In Public Works, we've had the major onslaught against the construction mafia, with arrests, with people being charged, and with a lot of protection for major construction projects so that they are not disrupted by extortionists who come onto the premises and force themselves to get a part of the resources involved in that building. Then we've had Solly Malatsi in communication. Now, it's crucially important that we get free internet access for the millions and millions of people that don't have it in South Africa. And Solly Malatsi has made that his number one priority. I mean, you and me, Clement, can't imagine life without the internet now. It's almost become, in this modern world, a human right to have access to the internet. And the digital divide is created primarily by lack of access. And that is what Solly Malatsi is trying to deal with. Siviwe Gwachube has got one of the most challenging portfolios, unbelievably difficult. Fixing the education system, because I was MEC for education for a while, fixing the education system is one of the biggest challenges in South Africa. She's put herself into it heart and soul, starting with preschool and the foundation phase to get kids literate and numerate at the right level, at the right age, so that they can begin the rest of their schooling. And she's focusing on that relentlessly, apart from infrastructure issues like getting rid of pit toilets. So all of these things that the ANC hasn't been able to do for forever are things that the DA ministers are fixing in their own portfolios.
Is that fair to say, though, Helen? I mean, at some point you must acknowledge that these departments were not vacant before these ministers from the DA occupied them. So there are some projects that were started by ANC ministers. They may have stalled, but to suggest that the ANC didn't do anything at all and the DA ministers arrived and magically somehow they started making progress isn't necessarily true.
Well, Clement, if you can give me one example of
Pit
one
latrines.
thing.
Let's take pit toilets. Angie Motshekga started this project many years ago. At some point, it was at 60%. It was at 75%. Sivuyo Gwachube comes through and announces that progress has been made. This is after 6 months of her joining that office. There's no way that she's been able to eradicate pit latrines. And then the DA positions it as if, look what DA ministers can do. And I think it's okay to actually say, Angie Motshekga started the process. We came in and we want to expedite it.
We will have no problem doing that. But pit latrines are a function of physical infrastructure. The substance of that department is improving learning outcomes. Now, obviously, we want all our students to be able to go to school in dignity and not have pit latrines. Absolutely. That is correct. And if Angie Motshekga started it, and I'm not too sure what progress she made and I could investigate it, obviously we give credit.
She has eradicated a lot of them since she started.
I give credit where credit is due, always. But let me just say this, on the substantive issues, getting children literate and numerate, getting free basic internet to all South Africans, those kinds of things, I'd be very interested to hear which of those major substantive projects the ANC made progress on.
Well, take the 88% pass rate. Your party released a statement celebrating that. Where do you think that comes from? Sivuyo Gwachube didn't magically change the entire system within a year of her being minister. Angie Motshekga started that process a while back.
Well, you will note that I didn't mention the 88% pass rate as one of the issues when you asked me.
Why?
Because that is a cumulative thing.
What do you mean?
A cumulative thing. So it happens over time. Obviously, it's a school level prestasie, as they say in Afrikaans. It's a school level achievement. And I think most of the kudos has to go to schools, to parents, to learners, and especially principals and teachers. And then also district management. That is a lot of kudos. So
it can go to the minister who oversees?
Yes, it can go to the minister. Absolutely, it can go to the minister. But I'm saying that that's a whole team effort. A whole team effort.
Yeah.
But I know that this has been incremental over a long time. And you will also know that we have questioned the question of quantity over quality. So what we critically have to look at is how many students are doing subjects like mathematics, for example. That's very, very important for access to jobs in this new world. We don't know how many careers will be left after AI has been in, I mean, maybe your job could be taken over by AI, Clement, who knows?
Yeah, any job could be.
So,
even yours.
Yeah. Well, I sometimes think that mine would be a bit
There'll be an
difficult for
AI political party one day.
We'd love to see that. Anyway, the point is that these things are incremental, but I'm talking about the big, big new things, and those were the things that I mentioned primarily.
Okay, let's talk about Solly Malatsi as well.
I can't talk about the GNU. I've given you some examples, but
I'm
not
the GNU.
The spokesperson for the GNU.
No,
Clement.
I've also asked you a question from the DA perspective, so I don't need you to speak for the GNU, but similarly so, when I have the president on this show, I ask him about, as an ANC, are you happy with your deployees? So are you happy with the work ANC ministers are doing?
Well, he is the president, so he is in government.
Yeah, or any other minister of the ANC. I do want to know how they think the GNU is doing as the ANC part of it. So I'm asking you, you are the federal chair of the Democratic Alliance. You spoke about the issue of internet and how important it is. We need to improve access. And when you look at what the Minister of Communications is doing through Starlink, there are questions around why he would want to allow for someone like Elon Musk to come and operate in South Africa without wanting to comply with regulatory laws, which require telecommunications companies to have at least 30% of ownership by historically disadvantaged groups. What is the DA's position on that? Are you comfortable with Elon Musk?
This is not about Elon Musk only. As Solly has said time and time again, he wants to open the market to competition, to access, so that people can get internet at the lowest possible price, because it is so crucial in the modern world. So the first point is that it's not only about Elon Musk. The second point is that equity equivalents have been there forever. They are in the MTBPS, that medium-term budget policy statement, has the role of equity equivalents in there. Mm-hmm. They are well established as a concept in South Africa, that you can do things that meet your BEE requirements that don't involve giving away a share of your company against your will. So there are lots of other things like job creation, like subcontractors, like all of those things that can meet the equity equivalence without pushing people to give up a third of their company. Now, if you're saying anybody who has to invest in South Africa has to give up a third of their company, you can absolutely see why that dries up foreign investment. And they say, well, we won't invest in South Africa. It's a tiny market, no skin off our nose, and we won't invest there. Now, we need international investment. We desperately need it. We need it for competition. We need it to bring down prices. We need it for all of those things. Mm-hmm. And if you say you've got to give up a third of your company to a politically connected person in the ANC elite, because that's always what it is, just now the ANC falls from power, and then what? The minute you start doing favors for politicians in patronage networks, it's the end of your business over time. Mm-hmm. So they know that, and they're not going to do that. And the DA is, in any case, against that policy. We believe in having people who invest, create more jobs, encourage small business, improve education, improve skills development. All of those equity equivalents, we're completely in favor of that. But to say to a foreign investor, you must hand over a third of your company to some cadre in the ANC is something we absolutely reject.
Yeah, but it's not some cadre in the ANC.
It is. Tell me where it isn't.
Are you suggesting to me now that any other multinational company that's ever come to this country has given 30% of their ownership to a cadre in the ANC?
Well, I can't think of any exceptions. I mean,
then the statement you make is
unfair.
Let me
tell you.
Because they're serious. I'll give you a chance. The point I'm trying to make, Helen, is there are serious business people out there that are not cadres of the ANC who equally have their own businesses that they have started legitimately. And just because that they've once voted for an organization doesn't necessarily mean that you then brand them as an ANC cadre. So I think it's an unfair statement to make. You can suggest that there are some cases where that's become the case. I absolutely agree with you, but not on all cases.
Well, William Gumede, Professor Gumede, did that study. And he concluded that deal, that part of giving up a third of your company, had circulated about R1 trillion amongst 100 people. And most of them had ANC connections. Now, I haven't seen the research that backs up that conclusion.
He hasn't provided it.
But I
a
know,
lot of people asked him to provide the research and how he went about it.
But
he wasn't able to defend that.
But let me just say this to you. There are some very famous cases. Baleka Mbete getting that money on the Goldfields deal, facilitated by Gayton McKenzie, as I recall. They said to Goldfields, you can't have a license unless you give so much to this person and so much to that person. Now, that was pure extortion, and it was found to be in America. But here, it's legalized by BEE laws, which actually legalizes a lot of what other countries view as pure corruption.
To do what?
To say that you're not going to get your license unless you pay an ANC cadre many millions of rands.
That's not what the law says, Helen.
Well, that's what was absolutely covered by it. So Jacob Zuma said to me, personally, let me just say, that is what the law says actually, but
it doesn't say ANC
covers
cadre.
No, it doesn't say ANC cadre, but it effectively is used through powerful people for ANC cadres.
Yeah,
so when I said to Jacob Zuma, we were having a discussion, as we often did, about these things, because I was the leader of the opposition and he was the president, I'd say to him, but all of these things that happened, and he said, I did nothing wrong. I was just applying BBBEE. And when I looked at it, the law covered the whole state capture gamut under the fig leaf of BBBEE. That's what it is used for.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you have a leader that you can argue that is corrupt. So the point is, any law can be exploited. Same way that any institution, like religious institutions, can be exploited. You can have good pastors, you can have bad pastors. Politicians can be bad, can be good. We've got laws in this country. Laws are also prone to exploitation. To suggest that the laws are carved so that they benefit ANC cadres is wrong. If you have an ANC in power and what they are doing is they want to bring in their own people, you can criticize that. Like you've mentioned a number of cases. You've just mentioned Baleka Mbete. I can take that. I don't know that case. But I'm saying you can't make a blanket statement like that.
No, I'm afraid I can, Clement. I'm afraid.
Can't.
Let me tell you why.
Unless you're able to say to me that every single multinational company.
I can't say every single one, but the general rule is.
Statement.
No, the general rule is, I'm prepared to stand by that. BBBEE was introduced to ensure that ownership of companies was at least a third black-owned. That, on its own, did not mention or imply ANC, but in effect, what happened again and again and again and again was that these companies saw their opportunity of getting into the inside track with the ANC. ANC people saw the opportunity of setting up companies and consortiums, and immediately they were in on the inside track. So if you look at Cyril Ramaphosa, how did he become a billionaire? How did he become a billionaire? Which businesses did he actually start and build up? And I can go through one after the other and show it to you.
Is that what you think about employment equity as well?
No. What I'm saying is, these laws can be used as a cover for corruption.
Of course.
To make certain people who have access rich.
Of course.
And the business community is equally guilty, because when they see this, they say, well, here's our opportunity to buy into the center of power.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, I suppose I'm saying that it can be blanket. Like because employment equity is similarly the same. People think, this is just to disadvantage white people, bring in black people that don't even qualify. And I always use the example of the Standard Bank Group CEO, Sim Chabalala. He got in through employment equity.
No, he didn't.
He told me that on this show when I interviewed him.
Well, maybe he did, but I know Sim Chabalala, and
he got in through
that is my bank, right?
And he's very proud of it, by the way.
Okay, let him be proud of it. Let me say that. He is saying to people, I didn't get in on my merits.
No, he never said that.
I know. I say he got in on his merits.
Yeah, he did, but he's also black. If it wasn't, remember, our laws in the past have actually somehow criminalized being black. So no matter how incredible you were at your job, the laws were against you succeeding in any way. So if it wasn't for laws that allowed for people who are black, for their merit to be seen, we wouldn't have people like Sim Chabalala. I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond to that after the headlines because I'm really late now. It's 5 minutes now after 10 o'clock. I really apologize, Mbali. I'll give Helen an opportunity to respond to that after the headlines. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. A very good morning. The Gauteng Health Department has revised the death toll following a fatal scholar transport accident in Vanderbijl Park yesterday. The department says its verified information confirms that 12 children lost their lives in the crash and not 14 as widely reported. Yesterday, a minibus taxi carrying learners to school collided with a truck. Police investigations into the cause of that crash continue, with both drivers still under scrutiny and no arrests made at this stage. In the court, 8 Milnerton High School learners charged with various counts of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm are back in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today. The learners face charges related to at least 8 incidents of assault at the school, including one with a video which went viral on social media. 6 of the learners were granted bail, while 2 underage learners who faced the same charges were left in the custody of their parents. And the death toll in the China factory explosion has now risen to 9. That blast, which sent heavy fumes of smoke into the sky, occurred at a plant of Bobang United Steel, causing tremors in the surrounding areas. Early reports state that the explosion originated from a 650 cubic meter water and steam tank. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by South African Airways. It's nearly time to head back to university. So why hit the road when you can fly? Book at flysaa.com now.
Well, Clement, we've got delays reported on the N3 North. An earlier accident is causing these delays approaching Van Buren Road, queuing traffic out of the Geldenhuys interchange. While travelling on the M2 West, the slow-moving traffic between the Crown interchange on Main Reef Road. Speaking of Main Reef Road, is also backed up towards the M1 exit, so please be on the lookout there and approach with care. If you are travelling in 4 ways, queuing traffic on Winnie Mandela Drive, this is between Witkoppen Road and the N1, and there's also some delays reported in the Pulse-Off area on Witkoppen Road approaching Rivonia Road. Do remember that traffic lights are still out of order in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek, as well as on the N3 North and Modderfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. More updates coming up at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Metric class of 2025, ready to spread your wings? South African Airways makes uni journey easier with all-inclusive one-way fares from Johannesburg to Durban from 690 Rand, from Johannesburg to Gqeberha from 655 Rand, and from Johannesburg to Cape Town from 1,144 Rand. Plus, pack more of what you need with 2 checked bags instead of 1. On sale until the 12th of February. So you travel by the 12th of Feb 2026. Book now at flysaa.com. T's and C's apply.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays
12 to 1.
Tell us about this private members bill that you have introduced.
What this bill seeks to do, Mandy, is that it works twofold. We want to strengthen and put much more robust mechanisms in terms of ensuring the anonymity of the whistleblower. But most importantly, over and above, we want to reward them monetary-wise to ensure that we incentivize this sort of behavior that disrupts corrupt networks.
Malebo Kobe, Action SA MP.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Mzansi, Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. Play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Pusher Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Psst. Hey, no longer feeling like the man you used to be?
The man who has inside jokes with complete strangers.
The fact is, 95% of men with low testosterone go untreated.
Vitamin High Performance Supplements for men helps recharge energy, regain lean muscle, and reload performance. Available at all good pharmacies and vitalamin.co.za.
Vitalamin. Don't get older, get better.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa, with a 1 billion rand investment into education in our host communities, 1.6 billion rand in deals facilitated through our Impact Finance Network, and 25.9 billion rand invested through our Kumba iron ore business into areas such as infrastructure development, healthcare, community upliftment, and more. Proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. South Africa has a partner. Anglo-American. Mining potential, building beyond.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
19 minutes before 11 o'clock, we're in conversation this morning with Helen Zille, who is the federal chair of the Democratic Alliance. I want to give you an opportunity as well to engage with her on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. Helen, let me give you an opportunity to respond because I had to go to the headlines earlier on, and then we're going to go to some calls and WhatsApps.
Okay, so Clement, you're absolutely right. Apartheid was a very evil system that locked black people out of opportunity in South Africa. And the Democratic Alliance believes absolutely that there has to be redress. There has to be redress. We look at the way the ANC has done it, that has used their BBBEE laws as a fig leaf to cover ANC corruption and the closed access to ANC cadres and cronies. And we say this is not working for the vast majority of South Africans who remain locked out of opportunity. So our alternative to BBBEE that we launched last year looks at breaking down the walls of exclusion now, of opening the doors of opportunity for the vast majority of people through access to training, to skills development, to promotions, to all of those things, so that we break the ANC's stranglehold on retaining opportunities for their cadres only, because that is effectively what has happened for the last 30 years. We want to broaden that access, and we want to make sure that it is not tied to being linked with the ANC.
All right, let's go to some WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement, and your guest. It's Laken here from Kliptown. I just wanted to find out what will be the DA's plans regarding hijacked buildings and community safety.
Hello, I'd like to know when is Helen going to be sworn in as a PR counsellor, and I'd also like to volunteer my services to assist with her campaign to get her elected as Mayor of Johannesburg.
Can you do better than the blue machine? All right, Helen, you can respond to those two.
Yes, Laken, hijacked buildings are a very critical issue, and we have to do something about them. Several of the city's own buildings have been hijacked. And as you know, the law, the Prevention of Illegal Evictions Act that we call the PI Act, prevents you from evicting people from a building unless you have an alternative, accessible and dignified place to take them. Now, that PI Act has been a massive, massive block to dealing with hijacked buildings, and we're currently in the process of trying to get that law amended in Parliament. But what I would do, if I was the mayor, is that I would start with the city's own buildings, because ownership, they say, is 9/10 of the law. So those are our buildings. There are places in Denver and other places that are temporary relocation areas. I would get a court order requiring people to move to those areas, and then I would upgrade that. We first have to evacuate that building, upgrade that building, and make sure that people who qualify for access get that access in a proper way. Also, we have to do that in conjunction with Home Affairs. The law makes provision for Home Affairs to be involved in these processes so that only people who are legally in South Africa, may be considered in these processes. We cannot accept that people who are not documented and who are not legally here benefit from housing and infrastructure when they have no right to be in the country. And those issues have to be sorted out first, and that is why the law makes provision for Home Affairs to be involved. That, in a nutshell, is what we would do.
Okay, and then PR Councillor, when are you joining the Johannesburg City Council?
That has not been finalised yet. I'm still the chair of the Federal Council till the 1st of April. And I'm doing 2 jobs at the moment, obviously, which is not too onerous for me. I can do that. But I would prefer not to have a 3rd job. So when I'm not the chair of Federal Council, then I think it makes sense for me to join the Joburg City Council.
So what are the 2 jobs? Federal chair and?
And I'm running as the mayoral candidate, which is a full-time job, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're in the city council, it does add more responsibilities.
Of course,
on top
huge.
Of the campaign.
Massive.
Then at the DA elective conference, do you still think you've got it in you to still hold any leadership position?
I would have, but I don't want one.
You don't want one?
No, I've done what I've had to do there.
Yeah.
And I feel that my job is now to try and help fix local government, because South Africa can't succeed unless our metros are functional.
So if you don't succeed in Johannesburg, is that you bowing out, or you'll join the city councillors in the opposition benches?
Well, it depends. I mean, obviously we're in it to win it. We don't go in to lose.
Like any other party.
Yeah, and we'll put our massive effort in to win it. If that doesn't work, if the voters of Johannesburg decide they want more of the same that they've currently got, and if they split their vote amongst all kinds of small parties, knowing that those small parties will go into coalition with the ANC and form a majority with the ANC in government, well, then the voters get the government they voted for, which is very sad. If there is a possibility of an ANC-governed coalition with those smaller parties falling from power quite early, I would obviously stay to ensure that we gave the best opposition possible, but we're in a good position to renegotiate a new coalition when the existing fragile one falls. But frankly, I'll be honest, it's been a big sacrifice for me to leave my family to come and relocate to Joburg. And if I'm the mayor, I'll obviously do that for 5 years and I will not look back. But if I'm going to not be given that opportunity to fix Joburg, and the voters have obviously rejected it, then there's no point in me just continuing.
Are you ready, though, to completely bow out of politics? I mean, there was a time when you were out and then you came back and said the DA needed you.
Well, I came back because the DA was disintegrating rapidly at that point.
So, I mean, what happens at a point when the DA continues to disintegrate and you're not there? I mean,
I don't think it will. I think, we've got strong enough institutions now. I don't think that they will be captured and manipulated at all. And I'm ready to go. And there are obviously a lot of good people who've come up and who can do the job. I hope and I think and I'm sure.
Okay. Tseho, you're calling us from Alexandra. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm good, man. Go ahead. What's your question for Helen?
So my question to Helen is, why is she claiming winning the fight with the pit toilet, right? But where else in Cape Town, Khayelitsha, they're still using the pit toilet. I mean, isn't it supposed to start there, winning it there, finishing them there, and come to radio and tell us, oh, we did the pit toilet? I think it's unfair for her to claim that. Thanks.
Thank you, Tseho and Alexandra. Helen?
Look, I am interested in where the pit toilets are in Khayelitsha. I can't guarantee for sure there are none. I know when we do the upgrade of certain areas and we offer people flushing toilets, they sometimes think that we're offering them flushing toilets to avoid giving them a whole house. And then they refuse that because they say they would rather have a house. That has happened in the past on occasion. But if your caller could mention to me where the pit toilets are, I can certainly look into this. I know that in some places the water table is very high. And I know when people have invaded land on which we cannot provide housing or services because the water table is too high, then we try and provide those services on the periphery. But if people invade land that is really impossible to develop, for example, as are places in Philippi where there's been sand mining and we've gone below the water table, then it's impossible to put in underground services there. So there may be some cases like that, but I'd be very interested to hear from your caller where.
All right, more calls and WhatsApps after this. It's 9 minutes before 11.
We at Monument Dental are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
Outsurance business insurance clients know that it pays to switch. And did you know you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium when you switch? For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance business insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F-Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
Are you one of our loyal listeners? Did you tune in over the holidays while we were off recharging? How did it go? Would love to hear from you. Please send us your feedback to contact@702.co.za, or better yet, you can do it in person. Come visit us this Friday, the 23rd. We'll be hosting a group of 702 lenders around lunchtime. We'll take you on a tour of our lovely building and show you our studios. To book your seat, simply send us an email on contact@702.co.za. Would love to meet and connect with you.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
It's 8 minutes now before 11 o'clock, wrapping up our conversation with Helen Zille. Some of your questions coming through on the WhatsApp line. Anonymous says, "Hi Clement, please keep me anonymous. The DA machinery is indeed a well-oiled machinery. That is quite impressive to see. But here's my question. Why does the DA FedEx leadership tend to score own goals just before every election? It's almost a guaranteed thing to happen. This erodes a lot of groundwork done by the councillors. Why can't they wait until after the elections before rocking the boat?" That's a question there from Anonymous. I imagine in this case now we're talking about this fight between Dean George and John Steenhuisen. It's happening just before the elections. So he's basically suggesting there's almost a scandal just before the elections, and that doesn't really help the councillors on the ground who do their hard work.
No, I take that point entirely, and I think it's a completely valid point. The issue really is that in government, John Steenhuisen has the prerogative to determine the composition of the DA's ministries. So to determine who from the DA caucus in Cape Town are going to go into those ministries. And he decided to reshuffle that. And that gave rise to this conflict that we're seeing. So you can't always get the timing of that right. John had clear reasons why he wanted to do that. Those reasons have been challenged by Dion. And that gave rise to the conflict that we're seeing. I know how hard it is for people on the ground. I know how hard it is for our councillors. But the important thing is we carry on with our work. The machine keeps on rolling. These things pass. And as long as we keep on doing the work that we're supposed to be doing, we'll get through this.
Hilton in Lenasia South. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Clement?
Sharp. Go ahead.
I'm very well, thanks. Good morning, Oxzile.
Morning, Hilton.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you to avail yourself for being the mayoral candidate for the city of Joburg.
Thank you, Hilton.
I strongly believe in you and the DA that if you were to be elected the mayor in the city of Joburg, you will bring about change for the better and equal opportunity for everyone that lives in the city.
Well, I really hope so. That is my aim, Hilton. That is very much my aim. You've summarized it well.
The kind of situation that we are sitting with right now in the city of Joburg needs somebody with an experience like yours. I know the city of Joburg is not like the city of Cape Town, but Helen Zille is Helen Zille. With her experience and expertise, I'm 110% sure that if you were to be elected, things will work out for all of us. Thank you very much.
Well, that's very warm and kind of you, Hilton. I will give it everything I've got. That's all I can say. I've got good colleagues. We've got a good plan. We will work our fingers to the bone, and we will make sure that we leave no stone unturned to fix Joburg, to stop the corruption, to stabilize the finances, to get the right people appointed in the right positions to do the work without any corruption, to ensure that every cent is spent on service delivery for voters. That is what we will do, but it's up to the voters. If they want us to have a try and to really put our effort into it, they know what to do. Otherwise, people get the government they voted for.
Another person asked, hey Clement, please can you ask you about the property prices of Cape Town and how people fear that happening in Johannesburg, property rates, etc.
Well, people mustn't fear the price of their property increasing because it's a very, very strong investment. People must worry much more when they have paid X for their property and then it is half of that later on. That is a crisis. I think your caller or your WhatsApper may be talking about rentals. Now, the critical thing about Cape Town is that the economy is based primarily on financial services and tourism. Tourism employs literally hundreds of thousands of people. And Cape Town in the last 20 years has built itself up with such a reputation worldwide that it is seen as the most attractive destination globally to visit. And that's why we had 11 million visitors in this last season. Now, those 11 million visitors create more jobs than you can possibly imagine in the city of Cape Town. And so we need to keep Cape Town the best city in South Africa, or the most functional city in South Africa. I mean, Joburg is my home, but Cape Town is the most functional city in South Africa. And it is that because it's had DA governance for 20 years. And that has an international reputation now, and it's creating thousands of jobs. I know that property prices in the central city and in the suburbs have grown very, very much, and that means that rentals are right up there. But the city of Cape Town is also expanding. That's why we put a lot of money into public transport. That is why my city is still very affordable. That's why we're bringing the trains back on track. PRASA is a national function, but we're bringing the trains back on track so people can have affordable transport. But if we start interfering with property in Cape Town, it means that people stop investing. It means that they don't maintain their properties anymore. It means that they fall into disrepair, and it means that Cape Town loses its global status.
Yeah.
So you've got to think of the job creation aspect as the number one consideration. We need jobs, jobs, jobs in our country.
Helen, let me thank you for making time for us. You're now based in Joburg, so we're going to talk a lot during town hall meetings that we'll be hosting here on 702 ahead of the elections. Thanks for making time.
It's always a pleasure, Clement, and thanks for being a tough interviewer.
A minute before 11.
There's a song that goes, "Money can't buy me love." And that's true. But then they told us all you need is love, which anybody with a mortgage will tell you most certainly is not true. Love won't pay your parking tickets or your student loan. It's also needy. It requires effort, availability, constant care. But more importantly, love requires time. And while money can't buy you love, it can certainly free up some of your time. Time to spend on the things you love, with the people you love. And if you're looking, maybe even time to find the one you love. That's why, after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time to do the things you love. And don't you love that about investing? Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
Mzansi, Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million estimated jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. Play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner, who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial star 120 star 7529 hash for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
At Checkers, 2026 is better with over 1,500 deals. Like Kellogg's Instant Noodles 5-pack, any 2 for 58 Rand. Save 28 Rand. Parmalat Everfresh Long Life Milk, a 1 litre 6-pack for 94.99. Save 25 Rand. And Baby Soft White 2-ply Toilet Rolls 18-pack, 2 for 259 Rand. Save 81 Rand. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Greenland, Trump, all of that. I never thought I'd use the phrase that Greenland is pushing precious metals stronger, but this is where we are right now.
It's all part of this broader theme of fracturing into blocks, into spheres of influence, and it is going to have an impact on the long-term integrity of the dollar. Imperialism is not cheap, if that's where we're going back. It's got fiscal implications.
Meryl Peck, portfolio manager.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA CIB. That's how we're invested in your story. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. The Gauteng Health Department has revised the death toll following a fatal scholar transport accident in Vanderbijl Park yesterday. The department says its verified information confirms that 12 children lost their lives in the crash and not 14 as widely reported. Yesterday, a minibus taxi carrying learners to school collided with a truck. Police investigations into the cause of the crash continue, with both drivers still under scrutiny and no arrests made so far. Health MEC Nomandong Komoralehoko says as of this morning, Sebokeng Hospital has 3 learners admitted in the intensive care unit. She says a 4th learner was airlifted to a private hospital in Alberton last night.
While moments of crisis can often lead to speculation, the spread of unconfirmed figures and misinformation is causing unnecessary harm. Such inoccurrences fuel confusion at a sensitive time and divert attention from the critical work of supporting affected families and provide medical care to survivors.
In the courts, 8 Milnerton High School learners charged with various counts of assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm are back in the Cape Town Magistrates Court today. The learners face charges related to at least 8 incidents of assault at the school, including one with a video which went viral on social media. 6 of the learners were granted bail, while 2 underage learners who are also facing the same charges are now in the custody of their parents. Carlo Peterson reports.
After being granted bail, the 8 accused learners were barred from Milnerton High School and provided an alternative venue to write their final exams. 8 learners lodged criminal complaints against the accused, citing various incidents of alleged assault at the school. National Prosecuting Authority spokesperson Eric Ntabazalila explained some of the bail conditions.
They must not directly or indirectly contact the witnesses as well as the complainants. They must not get close to the witnesses and the complainants. If they see the complainants, they must walk away.
The accused, who are due back in court today, were also ordered to hand in their cell phones as evidence in the investigation. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News.
Private security company Gauteng Anti-Crime Units claims the drug bust operation, which led to the arrest of Action SA's mayoral candidate in Ekurhuleni, Xolani Khumalo, was sanctioned by the police. Khumalo, who turned himself over to the police yesterday, made a brief appearance at the Palm Ridge Magistrates Court. He is facing charges of assault and the pointing of a firearm. It's alleged he assaulted an adult male at his Katlehong home on the 18th of December last year. Tabiso Koba reports.
Gauteng Anti-Crime Unit claims its members, along with Xolani Khumalo, were invited by SAPS last year to raid the home of a notorious drug dealer in Katlehong. Following the operation, an adult male opened assault cases against the unit's chairperson, Duma Khatebe, and Xolani Khumalo. The security unit spokesperson, Mojalefe Boya, says they were there at the operation to provide additional muscle to SAPS.
You could see even today when we were there at court, the very same police that we were working with on the day, today we were more like they don't know us. So we feel a lot let down because it was not our operation, it was SAPS operation. Nonetheless, we will allow the law to take its course. But I can tell you from the back of my head that majority of us will be reluctant to help SAPS.
Boya also confirmed the raid was not part of Khumalo's reality crime-busting TV show, Sizoktola. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And the death toll in a China factory explosion has risen to 9. The blast occurred at a plant of a steel company, causing tremors in the surrounding areas. Early reports state that the explosion originated from a water and steam tanker. Authorities are still investigating the cause of that explosion. Gold is trading at $4,670.98 an ounce. The rand is at 16.37 to the dollar, 22.02 to the pound, 19.07 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.13 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in Amalgam Crown City along the M2 West. This is between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. In fact, I'm seeing an accident reported right along the Main Reef Road exit towards Press Avenue is causing heavy delays. Please try to avoid that scene while traveling. In the east of Joburg, we've got some delays in Club View. This is along the N3 North. Roadworks are taking place, causing delays between Linksfield Road and Waterfontein Road.
A cloudy Tuesday in store for Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures will peak at highs of between 23 and 25 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The Gauteng Health Department has revised the death toll following a fatal scholar transport accident in Vanderbijl Park yesterday to 12.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 11 o'clock, Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. It's time for our World of Work feature.
702.
World of Work.
We're discussing dry promotions on our World of Work feature this morning, and I know there are a lot of you out there who have actually experienced dry promotions. This is when you've got a new title, they give you a new title, they give you, that title comes with more work, it comes with higher expectations, but there's no increase in your salary. And that's what's commonly referred to as a dry promotion. And the worrying thing is that dry promotions are becoming more and more common, especially now in these tough economic times. Organizations are restructuring, they freeze hiring, they're trying to do more with fewer people. But while they make sense from a business point of view, they raise serious questions about fairness, about labor rights, even the morale and the long-term career growth. I mean, some employers will say that dry promotions are opportunities for growth. Don't worry about it. This is exposure for you. This is going to help you in your future advancement. I mean, in some cases, they are temporary arrangements with the promise of later remuneration. So they get you to do these extra responsibilities with the promise of, we will sort you out later. You'll get the remuneration. But in some cases, they become permanent. And that leaves employees performing senior level work while being paid at a lower grade. Have you ever been a victim of a dry promotion? Have you been given a higher title or expanded responsibilities without a corresponding increase in pay or benefits? Let me know. 011-883-0702. I always appreciate you sharing your experiences with us. You can send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Sipho Mabaso is an HR specialist who's going to guide us through this conversation. Sipho, thanks for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right. So from your understanding, when we talk about these dry promotions, how do they differ from just a standard promotion?
So the biggest difference, Clement, is what you spoke to. A normal promotion comes with a title, added responsibility, and there's compensation that comes with it. Whereas a dry promotion is a bigger role, more responsibility, but without an immediate increase in pay. And that's where the biggest difference is. And it's mainly for some of the reasons that you spoke to. We'll do it later and or for exposure.
Why are these becoming more and more common in South African workplaces right now? What's happening?
So where it's done fairly, Clement, and where people are not necessarily taken advantage of, it could be a result of there's more work that needs to be done, but it does not necessarily justify a new role. So instead of us hiring a full-on headcount, we then say, please take on these additional roles. But then the other side as well is that from a talent management point of view, what you want to do is that if a person is good at a specialist level, we often don't know if they can take on more responsibility. So what we then do is that from a talent pipeline point of view, we use this as an opportunity to see if Clement can do more. And of course, this is where it's done with transparency, and it's done with a good outcome in mind, and where we are not necessarily trying to expose or take advantage of people.
Okay, so under what circumstances must someone accept a dry promotion, if at all?
So I think one, very important, it must be clear as to why are you taking on additional work, and there must be clear timelines around am I going to do this indefinitely or is this short term? I always advise that if it's junior roles, for example, hardcore specialists, you need to wonder as to will this additional responsibility benefit you in your career? If not, I'd say don't do it. But the higher you go in the corporate ladder, you also now need to think about your career path. If the new role is going to give you extra exposure, if it's going to put you in rooms you would ordinarily not find yourself, and if it's going to help pave a better way for your career, in that case, do take it. But it must be aligned to your career path and what you want to do. And if it's not, then yes, you are going to feel exhausted, and it might then lead to burnout.
And is there a period maybe to give yourself that, okay, I will allow for this dry promotions and get this exposure, access to these spaces, but only for a period of a year? Like, I mean, I'm trying to figure out at what point, because I said earlier, the experience that we have seen from other people is that sometimes this becomes permanent. Like, you've got this employee who's performing this senior level work, but they are being paid at a lower grade, and it's 4 years later.
Yes, yeah. And right in the beginning, Clement, it's important if it's done right, of course, for line managers to speak to, is this going to be 3 months, 6 months? And if that conversation is not heard and you've decided that you're going to take on these additional roles, at every point, you need to set yourself targets. So after 6 months, I'm going to ask the question. So don't keep quiet hoping that somebody will remember that you're doing additional roles, because to your point, what ends up happening is that it gets normalized, right? After a year of no conversation, it has become your role. It has become what you do. So it's no longer seen as a dry promotion. But be it in intervals, you just need to keep asking the question around, are we going to review this role and what it looks like? Whether we're changing titles, and of course with the title then comes the increase, or should I be letting go of this? But very important as well, the advantage for individuals, Clement, is also the fact that, and I always say this, the moment you're given additional roles, go update it on your CV as well. Go update it on your LinkedIn if that's what you use to profile yourself. Because while you might be junior, you are now taking on additional roles. So if your organization is not going to recognize you for what you're doing, then let other organizations recognize you for that.
Okay, so, all right. What are some of the risks? Oh, in fact, let me ask it this way. What should our listeners be more cautious of when they accept these dry promotions? So should you sit down with your employer and say, let's sign a contract or some form of an agreement to say after a year or after whatever period, we are going to give you remuneration, or at least we'll sit down and consider what options are available? Is it better to do it that way? Because if there's nothing on paper, there's no contract that's signed, there's no agreement that holds, you will consistently come back, but the employer may not be keen to remunerate because they're saving money, but they're getting more from you.
Correct. And I mean, to add to that, I know what some people experience, Clement, is that your line manager makes all these promises, you trust them. 3-6 months later, they leave the organization. You get a new leader who knows nothing about that agreement. And that's the worst case scenario. But I think what your listeners need to be able to talk to, even before it's on paper, when you are requested to take on additional roles, do ask the question, is this temporary or permanent, right? So that we establish exactly what we are looking at. If it's temporary, then it should come with a time frame. And also ask the question, what would success look like? So what does it mean for me? And this is where you're forcing the leader to say, well, I'm giving you exposure so that when the next opportunity comes through, then you are in line for a promotion. Then that way you are also setting them up in a way where they need to think about, what does it mean if you are successful in executing those roles, and for yourself as well. At least you are motivated to do it well. And you can also ask the question in advance, when will the remuneration be reviewed? And again, you're putting them in a space where they must commit to something. Okay. The danger here is that you must also think, because you and I talking about it right now, we are oversimplifying it. A very important question for every employee or for every person is, ask yourself, what are the risks of you saying no? And the answer to that will look different depending on who you work for.
Yeah. So in most cases, you actually don't really have a choice if you still want to keep that post.
It depends. If you've got a hardcore skill and you know that in the market they'll pay you more for what you're doing, you can say, listen, I don't have capacity. So it's not a matter of you saying no, because if it's a reasonable instruction, again, labor law might give the advantage to the employer. But sometimes you can merely say, I don't have capacity. I'm already working on these projects. I won't have enough time to execute on all these elements. And a good line manager would then say, okay, let's let go of these specific projects so that you can take on more. And at least that becomes a more fair conversation. But if you don't ask those questions, then you suffer in silence.
Okay, indeed. I've got some WhatsApp voice notes and calls coming through, some listeners sharing their experiences with us. 011-883-0702. Have you ever been a victim of a dry promotion? Have you ever been given a higher title with expanded responsibilities, but there's no corresponding increase in pay or benefits. Share your story with us. How was that proposed to you? Or maybe it wasn't even a discussion for you. Maybe you were just told these are what are now going to be your responsibilities, but there's no corresponding pay or benefit to that. How did you manage that? And also as an employer who often gives people dry promotions, what's the justification and how have you handled that in your company? Share your experiences with us. I'll start with your calls and WhatsApps after the break. It's 20 minutes after 11.
Tired of paying more than you need to for your car insurance? Jason, a 45-year-old OUTsurance client, is saving big on his 2025 Hyundai i10.
That's true. OUTsurance, they saved me an incredible 520 rand.
And if you're claim-free for 3 years, you get an out bonus.
More and more and more out.
How much could OUTsurance save you on your car insurance? SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142.
Saving so much every month, around 640 rand.
That's right. 27-year-old Liam saves an unbelievable 640 rand a month on his 2020 Ford Ranger. Enjoy benefits like panic assistance, which sends the nearest medical or armed response unit to you wherever you are. Get a quote now and see how much OUTsurance could save you. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online. Limits apply.
Mzansi, Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rand jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. Play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Pusha Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Hi, I'm in grade 6 at Crawford International, and I'm already building my future. At Crawford, we don't just learn, we prepare for the world ahead. By grade 10, I can choose from a range of subjects in any combination. With experienced teachers, amazing extracurriculars, and AI-driven support, I'm set up to excel in everything, from maths to public speaking. Book your personalized tour. Crawford International, building global leaders.
702.
World of Work.
23 minutes after 11 o'clock, we're having a conversation about dry promotions on our World of Work feature. Isn't that something we have witnessed a lot? Isn't that something some of us have experienced, where you get given expanded responsibilities, you are given a new title, there's more work, there are higher expectations for sure, but there's no increase in your salary? How have you dealt with that? Let's start with your WhatsApps on 072 702 and 702.
Clement, no. There's mafias out there. So where I used to work, what they would do is they'd put you in an acting role. They'd be put in an acting role, and what they'll do is they'll compensate you 10% of whatever salary that you're getting, not the 10% that is budgeted for that role. So they'll give you 10% of that role, and for 3 months, but then it will keep on. It can be extended for like a good 2 3 years. So I feel like it's cornery. And at the time, you're not even being given feedback in terms of where you need to prove whether you're doing well or not. But then I believe that if you're already doing the work and then there isn't any complaint on anything, which means you're doing it correctly, even though it would be great for them to give you feedback. But then in that case, they didn't give any feedback. I'll remain anonymous. Thanks, brother.
So, hi, Armando here. What about a promotion where you get less than what you got before? So, strictly speaking, if you're in a sales position, you're earning commission, you might be earning 50K a month as a commission earning employee. And the company then comes along and says, okay, so you're now going to be a manager. but the manager earns 30k a month or 25k a month. But that is because the manager does a hell of a lot less. The salesperson is up early in the morning, he drives, he does thousands of Ks a month, and he's under pressure and he earns commission. Now he's earning a lot of money, but he gets a promotion to management and earns less. What then?
Yeah, that's a good question. Sipo?
Yes, I'll start with the last voice note because we experience this quite a lot, and not just in sales, but even in your factory setups where your blue-collar employees get paid overtime, but the supervisor does not get paid overtime. And it's common that the guys that work overtime can take home more than their actual supervisors. I think in this instance, you need to negotiate it right from the beginning, right? So a promotion comes with an offer letter. Unlike a dry promotion, with a dry promotion, it can happen today. You did not apply for a role. You did not ask for it. But an actual promotion comes with, I want the role. And I think it should be negotiated from the onset that at the least meet my minimum net take home, over the last year or over the last 2 years, because it is a valid concern that in commission you could make more, but as a manager, you mainly office-based, and therefore you won't have an opportunity to be selling as you used to as a sales rep or salesperson. So I think it's about negotiating it from the onset. And I think with the first voice note, the 10% is quite common. What he's explaining is exactly what organizations get wrong. It's an actual acting period should not exceed 6 months at the most, because when you are put in an acting role, it means we are recruiting for it. And no recruitment should exceed 6 months, even if it's the most difficult role to replace. Anything beyond 6 months, now we are taking advantage of the employee, because to his point, if you are willing to put me in a position for a year, it means you already trust me. And 2 years is just extreme. I think that's where it goes wrong. And to his point, a lot of organizations still choose to put this into practice. But 2 years should be enough to say you've proven yourself. If you were not getting it right at the most, we should have said, okay, thank you for acting. We're going to get somebody else to act while we are still recruiting. But no recruitment should be taking more than 2 years. And in this instance, that's proper. Organizations taking advantage of their associates.
Yeah. Tabiso is asking on the WhatsApp line, when one gets a promotion with a promise of pay rise in the future, where can one go to see what the market is currently paying for the new role in order to better prepare for the salary negotiation talk? Tabiso is asking there, how do you prepare for that so that you know what are they paying in the market and you can be at a better position to negotiate your salary?
Sure. That's a complex question. There are websites that sometimes give out this information, but they are also not reliable because they are based on people voluntarily, exposing their salaries. The only time where people have actual salaries, it would be HR people or people that work with compensations, because what we do is that we buy data from organizations so that we can create what we call benchmarks. And that's how we put salary bands within grades. We buy that data. So for a layman person, they would not ordinarily have access to that data. So the only thing that you would then do is ask peers in similar roles in other organizations, and or when another organization approaches you, then you know that, actually they were willing to pay me 50% more, meaning you guys are taking advantage of me. I want to stay, but let's now negotiate. But outside of that, Clement, it's difficult for people to access that data directly.
Another message on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, hi, the guy I was working with in my department resigned and the management decided that they're not going to employ anyone to replace him. It means I'm responsible for his duties and I'm not being compensated for extra work. Is it not indirect dry promotion? Should I go and ask for a raise?
Yes, that is a dry promotion, and whether it's stated or not stated, right? And that person should definitely go and ask the question, right? And it should be there's these additional responsibilities. What does it mean from a compensation point of view, and even from a title point of view, especially if the titles were not the same? I think it's very important for this person to go ask the questions. You will not lose anything by asking. And in a case where you are forced, I think this is where you can imply and make them aware that, guys, you don't have enough hours in a day. And more often than not, this is where sometimes they'll add in a bit of additional percentages as a carrot to encourage you.
Yeah. So for employers that are listening to us, what are the fairer alternatives to drive promotions when budgets are tight? Because that's often the justification. It's tough economic times. We don't have budget. What are some of the options available to them?
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is that don't make promises you can't keep. So if we in cost containment right now and we foresee that things will turn around, then you can have conversations around, we need you to take on this additional role. We will expose you to these kinds of conversations, and this is what it would mean. Very important to the other WhatsApp message that we listen to is continue to give feedback. So if you're taking a person that is good talent, high potential candidates that we speak, and that's the title we give them feedback. Tell them, hey, you are doing well. We appreciate what you're doing. And when the opportunity comes, do not neglect either giving them the deserved increase and or a promotion, because sometimes it does not mean you will get a promotion, because that also depends on the organizational structure and so forth. But when the opportunity comes, be fair to these candidates. But the biggest thing is just being transparent and being honest. A lot of people are willing to be stretched, but they don't want to be taken advantage of. And I think if you're transparent, then people also know that, okay, if I don't do this, it might mean being laid off, and it might impact other people. But if the organization is transparent with me, I might be willing to take on more, as long as I know that it's also good for my profile.
Yeah. Sipho, thank you so much for making time, man. Sipho Mabaso is an HR specialist. It's 11:32. Time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Maki, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Gauteng police have confirmed that the driver of the fatal Scholar Transport crash in Vanderbijl Park is being processed as part of an ongoing culpable homicide investigation. Yesterday's crash, which claimed the lives of 12 learners, involved a minibus taxi and a side tipper truck on Fred Droster Road near the N1. Investigators say the driver remains central to the probe as forensic analysis, vehicle inspections and witness statements continue. We move to the city centre, where the city of Johannesburg is leading an electricity cut-off operation in the CBD, targeting commercial establishments that have defaulted on their power bills. One of the affected businesses is Oasis Liquor Store, which the city says has been in arrears on its electricity payments since 2013. Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero says the city's assessment shows that the liquor store owes more than 1 million rand to City Power. And motorists in Vosloorus and Ekurhuleni are urged to steer clear of roads in and around the vicinity of Mthimkhulu Primary School due to protest action. Protesters have blocked roads with rocks and burning tires. The affected roads include Khoza and Kunene Street. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N3 North, we've got heavy traffic volumes. In fact, an accident is reported right near Waterfontein Road. Delays coming out of Linksfield Road. Please be on the lookout there. While traveling in Crown City, there's queuing traffic along the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Rift Road. And there's also queuing traffic in four ways along Winnie Mandela Drive. This is between Witkoppen Road and Leslie. That's due to an accident, so please try to avoid that scene as much as you can. And traffic lights are still out of order at the N3 and Waterfontein Road, as well as in Randbeck at Witkoppen Road and Waterford Drive. So please approach with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your clientele legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one, get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Specs and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
Okay, truck 7, that has zero warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
702.
Health and wellness.
It's 24 minutes before 12 o'clock. We start with our health and wellness feature. And today, we are talking about wellness trends for 2026. I want to start this discussion by telling you about something that has been happening this entire week. So I asked Amu to stay here because what is one thing all of us experienced since Monday? Since Monday was yesterday, ne?
Yeah, since
yesterday with Bongani.
His ring, a rose gold ring.
So
that
he's
he
got
wears
a
on his
new
left finger.
ring, and he's been telling everybody about it. What is it?
It's a fitness ring. Regulates your sleep, your steps, basically. Just what a fitness device does.
Yeah, and I thought we're gonna start it there because it's a new year and a lot of people have these fitness trends. And Bongani has a ring on his finger, and he's been telling everybody about it. I mean, yesterday I was with Abel in the studio. He just walked in and he was waving this ring at us. So I'm talking about that regarding Bongani's ring because that is part of the wellness trends that we are seeing, right? And I want us to talk about which trends actually improve our health and which ones are simply just well-marketed ideas. Obviously, we know that wellness has become a billion-rand industry. I mean, how you eat, it shapes how you eat, how you move, how you sleep, and even how we think about health. Whether it's supplements, whether it's superfoods, whether it's these fitness apps, these wearable technology like Bongani's ring, the mental health tools, they're everywhere. But staying well isn't about luxury retreats or expensive product. It's about sustainable habits. It's about mental resilience, practical choices. So what are your wellness plans for 2026? What are some of your wellness trends that you have noticed that actually interest you? I'd like you to call us on 011-883-0702 or send a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. Sender Dowling is the founder of the World of Wellness, who's going to guide us through this conversation. Sender, thank you so much for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, team. How are you?
I'm all right. I mean, so many people are excited about, some wellness trends for 2026. Let's start maybe by looking at what wellness actually means in 2026 compared with, let's say, like 5 years ago.
Yes, for sure. So I think in the past, we were trying to always fix. How can I get to the gym? How can I have a diet plan? All of those things that we were trying to fix rather than learning about sustainability and staying resilient and living longer and feeling good and keeping that balance in terms of our humanity and our wellness. So for 2026, it's definitely the capacity to build and to function better, to recover better, quicker, to live longer with a balanced and integrative lifestyle and wellness lifestyle.
And of course, the idea of let's take brain wealth, for instance. That is something new for many people. How is this different from just looking after your mental health?
I think it also depends on the type of questions that we get asked. Everybody says, "Are you okay? Are you coping? Are you stressed?" It's like when your kid gets home from school and you say, "How was your day?" They can say, "Fine." So it all depends on how those questions are asked and how deep they go into talking and being real and being honest about how they are feeling. So rather questions like, how well does your brain perform under pressure? What can help you focus better, make better decisions, regulate your emotions when making these decisions under stressful circumstances? Do you have the cognitive energy to make healthy brain decisions rather than aggressive or not paying attention to those triggers? So, your attention span, your emotional regulation, your sleep quality, your stress recovery, and that type of thing is really important. And obviously having someone to talk to about that in a more professional way rather than the short-sighted, are you coping, are you okay, are you stressed?
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of body, the body-focused aspect of wellness, like your somatic wellness, the nervous system regulation. A lot of people are practicing breath work, cold exposure, grounding, you name it. And many of these are trending. Why is this the body-focused aspect getting so much attention?
It's funny you say they're trending because they've actually always been there. If you look back in history, the cold baths or the showers or, working on that nervous system and regulation of the body. It's just become obviously a little bit more marketed or advertised. But what's important about those types of nervous system regulations is calming that nervous system down, improving your stress tolerance, going back to the brain health, reducing inflammation and fatigue, restoring your sense of control, your safety. So all of those things, breath work, cold exposure, a lot of people say be grounded. They don't mean that in the literal sense. Literally take off the shoes, get barefoot, walk on the grass, on the sand.
How many of us actually walk on the grass? Like when was the last time you were on soil, on grass, with barefoot?
Agreed. But however, South Africans are blessed in the way that we have the environment and the weather conditions that we do. Some people in the world, like in New York or whatever, it's a concrete jungle. They don't ever get that opportunity to feel the sand or the grass or the earth under their bare feet. So we should take the opportunity to really enjoy our luxuries that we do have to us.
Digital life is of course a constant for many of us. Why are people choosing digital minimalism? You've got these retro analog habits or screen-free spaces for well-being. How beneficial are those?
So ultimately, everything has its place and a time of where it can be used. And it's about our boundaries and about our balance and understanding where the triggers are and when it's good for us and when it's not. So I would never knock the digital world because it is where the world is going. But being able to say, it's dinner time, it's time to get away from the screen, or it's, getting ready for bed. We've got to put those boundaries in place and put away the screens and not get too overwhelmed by the digital marketing. And then get back to the basics, the paper, the book, the talking, the conversations, the journaling. These are the ways that do help our cognitive brain as well, and that stress relief rather than that constant bombardment of digital marketing.
011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. We're talking about wellness trends for 2026. In fact, these are trends that have already started in the previous years. Which ones actually do improve our health and which ones are simply just well-marketed ideas? Maybe you've got some for you that have actually worked for you, some that maybe you're considering but you've got some questions about. Why don't you let us know about them? Call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note. It's 15 minutes now before 12.
This message is brought to you by Eskom, redefining for a better future.
Are you running a business? Every rand counts. Save electricity and cut costs by switching off lights, computers, and air cons after hours. Use energy-efficient lighting and equipment and make saving electricity part of your daily routine. Smart energy habits mean lower bills and greener business future. Let's power success efficiently.
Let's use electricity wisely. Eskom.
You wouldn't settle for burnt toast just because it's still bread. So why settle for less when it comes to car insurance? Outsurance client 30-year-old Dineo knows all about getting more out.
I'm saving 1,094 rands.
That's an unbelievable 1,094 rand saving every month on her 2025 Kia Sonet. Get a quote today and see how much Outsurance could save you. SMS cover to 30995. That's cover to 30995. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is your captain speaking. To all passengers who booked at Flight Center last year, congratulations. You've officially upgraded to Travel Legends. You are out there living it up, posting beach pics and sipping mocktails at sunset. To everyone else still thinking about it, this is your wake-up call. It's a new year. Time to turn someday into this year. Visit flightcenter.co.za or your nearest Flight Center store today. Flight Center, your center for travel.
As world leaders and investors gather in Davos this week to set the global economic agenda, Gauteng is stepping forward as Africa's economic gateway. Catch 702 in conversation with the Gauteng Growth and Development Agency on 702 Drive with John Pellman this afternoon, unpacking Gauteng's presence at this year's World Economic Forum. From global investors to long-term partnership, discover how South Africa's economic engine is positioning itself for future growth. Only on 702.
702.
Health and wellness.
On our health and wellness feature this morning, we are talking about wellness trends. What are some of the wellness trends that have piqued your interest that you want to check out? Senda Dowling is the founder of the World of Wellness, who's guiding us through this conversation. I want to talk a bit about travel now, Senda, because that is often sort of marketed as wellness. How are concepts like locations and, I mean, I've heard of location as well. How are they different from different, traditional holiday trends?
Yeah, so, again, the digital marketing plays this picture risk idea of what a holiday should be and where you should be going and what you should be doing. And it's not always as true as it looks. One needs to minimize the packed itineraries and the constant stimulation, and try and get fewer activities. One place, a deeper resting place that you can be with people that you love, that uplift you and give you energy, rather than chasing the meet with keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. Idea of what travel is. So slowing it down. On the locations, yes, that is also quite a trend. Traveling designed around your sleep, your movement, your light exposure, your rhythm, your yoga, so that when you're done with this location, you're feeling better, healthier, stronger, and you can return restored, rather than coming back exhausted and overstimulated.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of wellness retreats. For many South Africans, of course, wellness isn't just about expensive retreats, it's about daily life. So how do these trends translate into everyday, affordable choices?
Again, as I said earlier, I feel that us as South Africans have the weather and the environment and the landscape at our disposal. So one should take advantage of that, and doing those nature walks, hikes, community sports, group exercises or activities, even keeping it even more local at home, cooking with friends and family, remembering to have your early mornings. The sun and the moon is part of your when to wake up, when to go to sleep, and getting back to basics. Even church activities, stokvels, social clubs, these are all ways that you can keep your wellness in a South African way, low cost but high impact in terms of your wellness.
I love that you're mentioning social clubs, because there is a strong social component in these wellness trends. Like there are group activities, there's communal experiences. So that social aspect is becoming more and more important for wellness.
Absolutely. And not just in South Africa, globally, the park runs, nowadays we can get online and do a global cycle, a global yoga session. So yes, these social groups and activities are a very good way for us to stay connected, but on a similar wellness platform. Walking clubs, faith-based cultural gatherings, all of these are great ways to have that social aspect on a wellness level.
Yeah. How do you separate evidence-based practices from the hype or marketing when so much wellness advice exists online? I mean, there are a lot of people on social media now who have become, the wellness experts who will tell you of what to do, what to engage in. So how do you separate what's evidence-based practices from just hype and marketing and influencing?
Yeah, and that is a danger. And we are all prone to listening to everything that comes our way, and then you feel confused about which way you should turn. But true wellness requires fewer things, not more. It's boringly consistent. It's often free or simple. You would feel it immediately that it is making a difference. You're not feeling forced or that it's a status thing or it's a product-heavy thing or it's exclusive. It should be easily accessible and make you feel better at the end of the day, not more stressed.
Yeah, be very careful of what you're picking up out there. And then what about like looking up to the year 2026? What do you think is sort of the underlying shift in how people see their health in 2026? Where do you think we're heading?
Similar to what I said in the beginning, that resilience, sustainability. I mean, we're talking sustainability even in our electricity and our water and all of those things. So similarly, we need to do that with our wellness and our well-being and our human nature. So, less about becoming better and more about staying human and true to who we are and having that balance and resilience at the end of the day, I would say.
Do you think that we've taken wellness quite seriously? In fact, let me ask it differently. Governments, in particular, are you seeing a shift? Because you could argue there's a lot of shift, of course, among individual communities. We see what's happening also globally and how it's influencing us. But do you find that there's a lot of shift within government as well in terms of the policies that they come up with, et cetera, et cetera?
I'm not an expert in that, but I hope that the consumer or the person at the end of the day is aware of what they're reading and seeing. I often actually am in the shops and I see people reading at the back of the labels and so on. So I do hope that has been implemented. But if you stay true to your beliefs and the way you feel and back to basics, I think you can't go wrong. So, the language detox, one size fits all, fear-based messaging, influencer first and then evidence and trends later, those are all things we need to be wary of because that's not how it should be. It should be, does this product or this activity improve my sleep, my energy, my recovery, my mental well-being, my physical well-being? Do I feel rested? Do I feel balanced? Do I feel true to myself? And then that hopefully would be a way for you to know if it's real or not.
Yeah. Jane is asking here on Twitter, says, "Hi, Clement. I worry a lot that when we talk about wellness, we focus a lot on the apps and on some of the items that you purchase. And I think there's a risk that wellness trends are just another form of consumerism, especially when they involve expensive products or travel. Please, can you ask your guest about that?" Senda, and of course, you can reflect on that. You did mention earlier on that it doesn't have to be about these apps and gadgets. I mean, we live in this country blessed with the weather we have, blessed with, the kind of elements we have. Why don't you just take off your shoes, like be on grass, be on the ground, sit under a tree? How do you respond to someone who says, for them, they worry that wellness is becoming more and more about those expensive products and the travel, and we're missing the point about what you exactly said earlier on about the easy things you can do here and now?
The problem is that we are reading and seeing and being influenced on a daily basis with our phones and digital marketing. So we constantly lose focus of the simplicity of how wellness should be. And we think that we need to do what everybody else is doing. And then, yes, we become part of that consumerism and think that we need the next product, tablets, gym equipment or whatever to make us feel better about ourselves. But we often just need to remind ourselves to go back to those basics. We don't need all of these things. The fewer things that we have and the simpler it is, possibly is the better way to stay healthy and balanced. It shouldn't be about performance driven or how many products you could buy or how heavy weights you can pick up or whatever. It's about that sustainability and resilience.
Senda, thank you so much for making time for us. I really appreciate it. Senda Dowling is the founder of the World of Wellness. And as you've heard, just do the simple things. We take for granted the opportunities that we have. Take off your shoes, just go around, be in the grass, feel the soil, go hug a tree. Weren't we making fun of, was it DJ Sue? Weren't we making fun of DJ Sue when he was busy hugging trees? That's exactly what he was telling you to do. That is part of wellness. You don't have to think about it you don't have to go to like a wellness retreat overseas. Of course, if you can afford that and that is what you want, you can do that. But that doesn't have to be the only option available to you. You don't have to get a ring like only a ring like bongs, that sort of measures your steps. Of course, you can get that if you can, or as an addition. But there are other simple, easy things that are available for us. And I hope what Senda has said has encouraged you to really just think out of the box and know that it's not just the expensive gadgets and the expensive travel experiences, but it's also things you can do on a day-to-day that could improve your well-being. It's 30 minutes before 12.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Mzansi Powerball has skyrocketed to an epic 177 million rand estimated jackpot this Tuesday, the second highest ever recorded jackpot in Ituba's history. So play now and you could win big, just like Friday's Powerball Plus winner who bagged over 33 million rand via the National Lottery platform. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or dial *120*7529# for USSD. Panda Push-Up Play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Life keeps getting busier. Parenting, shopping, working, exercising, just surviving. With all of that, who has time for anything else? That's why Netcare introduces Netcare Appointmed. Just tell us what you need, a specialist, GP or dentist, and we'll search our nationwide network of 5,000 doctors and find an appointment with a doctor who best suits your needs and medical aid. That's Netcare Appointmed on the Netcare app.
Are you one of our loyal listeners? Did you tune in over the holidays while we were off recharging? And how was it? Would like to hear from you. Please send us your feedback to contact@702.co.za, or better still, you can do it in person. Come visit us this Friday on the 23rd. We're going to be hosting 702 lenders here at 702 around lunchtime. We'll take you on a tour of our lovely building. We'll show you our studios, but you have to book your seat. How you do that is you can email us on contact@702.co.za. Would love to meet you and connect with you.
Coming up
on the Midday Report.
Hello, Jane. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good. What's coming up on the
We've
midday
been
report?
listening to Robert McBride, former head of IPID. He's admitted that he works for the State Security Agency.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wonder he's been
Running many
dead
of the
silent.
foreign desks in Africa.
Okay.
So he clearly is a man who knows a lot about a lot of people. So we're going to be getting some upsounds from him. He's at the ad hoc committee. We're also hearing that the driver of the bus that killed those 12 children, now that number's been revised, is going to appear in court today. I mean, he's just 22 years old. Can you imagine living with what you've done?
Oh, my goodness.
And more details come out about how badly he was apparently driving before this, and that he'd been investigated before, certainly been warned about before. Terrible tragedy.
Terrible.
And there's another one today, apparently, another scholar bus accident.
Oh, my goodness. All right, that's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Jane Dutton. Thanks for listening to the show. We're back with you tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Mikey Malapo. We begin with News Justin. A 22-year-old scholar transport driver involved in the fatal Vanderbijl scholar transport crash is expected to appear at the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates